queremos umbo shiwa na sha bun dia.
Don't say the Z word.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cheap Seat Critics podcast. I'm one of your hosts, a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson
And
Maroon.
I'm Sprinks. I didn't know how to say my own name in Korean, and I'm sorry if I butchered that opening. And if you're expecting me to speak Korean the whole rest of this podcast, you're sadly mistaken. Man, that was a lot of practice I had to do for that. Anyway, welcome to this episode. Hey, if you're listening on your way to Busan, you can listen to us on. I'll do it backwards. You can listen to us on multiple different podcast sites. But if you're a visual kind of person, you can watch us over on YouTube and Rumble. But if you're interested in kind of like announcements or things coming up or updates, we have a ton of socials over on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, um, as well as did I say Facebook? I think maybe I don't know. As well as LetterBoxd, where we have average out numbers and graphs. If you're interested in that as well.
Are
Yeah,
you
and
infected?
today,
You're losing your mind.
Yeah.
and today we are covering Train to Busan. If that wasn't, you know, clear by the joke. Um, and I think we'll start with histories because I imagine this will be fairly short, unless someone's gonna surprise me. Let's start with Sprinks.
Surprise! Never seen it before. But I have heard of this pretty much since it came out in 2016. Um, and I think I was recommended it a long time ago because I'm a zombie guy, but just never got around to it until now.
Yeah, it's fair. I have a very similar story, so I'll go next. It was recommended to me by a friend of the show, Biomon, to that I would enjoy this movie because I also happen to be a zombie guy, but I'm also very picky about my zombie movies, I guess, which I guess is unsurprising. So it was pitched to me by Biomon,
Like you're a
and
very
I just
father-daughter dynamic guy.
yeah, I that might be another reason why it was pitched to me. I can see the other reasons which we'll get to in the podcast, because it does definitely go beyond just that. Um, but I definitely see why this was pitched to me. Um, and otherwise, similar to you, Sprinks, I've heard of it a couple times before just by being in the zombie fandom where I'm saying the Z word constantly, Crimson. But uh and yeah, so just finally got to it. This is my excuse. Crimson.
So this was your first time?
Yes.
Ooh. Well, I guess this is the first time for all of us. Very similar where I heard about it when it came out. I was also recommended it, and I didn't see it. I'm also a zombie guy. I've seen a lot of zombie stuff. Walking Dead, World War Z, Warm Bodies. Pretty name it. I've probably seen it. I've heard of it.
Throwing warm bodies, yeah.
Warm Bodies. That's a weird zombie movie. Okay.
It is a zombie movie,
I've
but
got range.
He's
I have some
bleeding.
range.
He loves me.
Exactly. Uh, there's a lot of there's a spectrum for zombie films. You got your slow Walking Dead, you got your fast World War Z, and then you got kind of this in there leaning more towards World War Z.
And then you got some
Uh,
BOW stuff.
well, that's less zombie and more
Monster making.
mutant
Yeah.
stuff. Uh, so yeah, there you go. Pretty much the same as you guys. I knew it was a
fair
zombie
enough.
film when it came out.
Fair enough. Well, since our illustrious, elaborate histories are over, shall I jump into some facts, gentlemen?
Oh,
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
ready
see
for
why
it.
not.
All right. This movie was directed by Yeon Sang Ho. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. It has a runtime of 118 minutes. Obviously, it was made predominantly in South Korea, and the main language is Korean. Um, it has a budget of 8.5 million, and got a box office return of about 98.5 million. But that was just local. I think it got a lot more once it was released in broader markets. Um,
Wow. If this was made in America, there would have been 3 movies by now.
But
yeah,
yeah.
With that, return on investment? Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, there is an animated prequel that came out. I think a couple months afterwards, which is one of the facts. So it because it did so well, like not only in South Korea in Korea, it also did really well in uh,
Worldwide.
abroad as well too. So they ended up making an animated prequel. Um, Filmmaker Edgar Wright, who directed BAFTA and nominated zombie comedy Shaun of the Dead, was a big fan of the film. Wright recommended the film in a tweet and called it the best zombie movie I've seen in forever.
Oh wow.
I think I've
Uh,
heard that movie before.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, and it doesn't ring a bell, does it? Also another writer pick for some fucking reason. Uh, I'm just bringing it up because this is interesting. On my fact finding search, I found a website that says the word zombie is mentioned twice in the film, and then I found another that said the word zombie is mentioned once in the film.
It is not once.
It's not once.
All right, so just so everybody knows, IMDb is a liar, and this is why you take all facts that you find on the internet with a grain of salt.
Yes, because anyone with an account could write stuff in.
um, the Train to Busan was the first Korean movie to have a theatrical release released in four different languages, being English, Hindi, Tamali, and Telgalo or Telugu, and not including the original language. So
Oh.
it's gotten a bunch of subtitles for it, which is very rare for Korean films.
Oh, the languages were subtitle usages, not dubs.
Yeah, yeah. There
Gotcha.
weren't any there weren't any English dubs. Yeah. So it's been subtitled. I think it's the most subtitled film for Korean films.
Oh, that would be
Um,
interesting.
yeah. Uh, it is the sixth highest grossing film of all time in South Korea. Uh, the actor Ma Don Seok, the guy who plays, we're gonna call him Chad for this film. He's the guy that just punches zombies and is generally a kind of a brute, I guess. Uh, yeah. Used to be the main actor's personal trainer.
Oh,
So, and their chemistry goes a while back as they starred in another post-apocalyptic movie 13 years ago called The Silence.
interesting.
So they do have a long history together. Um, and I believe no one I got one more. The actor who played Sanhua was nominated for 2017 Asian Film Award in the Best Supporting Actor category for his role as Sanhua. Senghua.
Congrats to
Neat.
him.
Yeah. That is all I got for facts without going down a really really long list because there's a lot of facts about this movie. Um, so I will open this to the floor if anyone has any facts of their own they would like to submit before we begin.
I do not.
What a cool Eternals like spin-off.
Yeah, I know. They actually added
Uh,
good writing in there.
I don't know if I agree
It
with that.
was yeah, and if
This is
this
a
was
what if,
if
isn't it? A Marvel
well
what if?
yeah, I mean they could be the what if universe for all we know. uh for the audience, I guess before we begin, I just to give a warning, we don't want to be spend the entire time butchering names. So I'm gonna butcher them now, but I'm gonna give you the audience the nicknames so they can help keep track of what we're going to call them. Seok is Suwon's dad, so we're just gonna call him Dad. Suwon is probably just gonna be referred to as Suwon because it's a fairly easy name to remember, but otherwise we can call her daughter. Sanhua is just gonna be referred to as Chad. Uh, his wife is just gonna be referred to as pregnant. Um, Businessman is Businessman. He is the kind of eventually forms up to be the antagonist of the film. We have high schoolers, which will just be down to one, and then we have cheerleader because there's only ever one. We have the grannies, we have the conductor, we have the ticketer, and we have Kim.
Hang on a
Is
sec. Are you high schoolers, like the whole baseball team is just one character?
No. But we could refer to them as the high schoolers until it just gets down to the last one, and it'll just be the high schooler. Unless you have a lot more you'd like to elaborate on in a particular high
Oh,
school
I'm like, I
character.
don't think the any of them really matter except the love interest one of just baseball boy.
Yeah. So like I said, we can refer to them collectively as the high schoolers until we're down to just the one.
Okie doke.
And we'll be doing a four-act structure. These are arbitrary acts, heavily so. I gave my podcast mates, I'm sure, a bit of grief at the start of the day. Um, but we will start with act, and it will be popcorn within the act. Uh, and we will start with Act One, which is from the start of the film to dad getting a call from his mother as she's turning into a zombie. And I think we'll start with Crimson.
Right. I'll jump to something that bugged me right out the gate here. Well, not in the terms of the movie order, but the when the zombies are going crazy through the train cars, moving up, everyone's running, and Dad is like, "Let go of the door." I just my mind went crazy with that, and it's something they stuck with throughout the film. It's not like it's a locked door, and if like one zombie like in their frantic motions got their hand like hooked in the handle of the door and fell, it could have slid the door open by itself. Uh, there's just and it's such frantic movements. It's just why risk it? Have a doorman. It's quite simple.
Yes, I agree with that. I think this is something they could have worked around if they gave us they gave the main character an observation to work on. But I agree with this broadly because I don't think we have that as something set up earlier. Uh, Going forward, it's quote unquote set up, so I don't have much of an issue going forward. But it is right here. I would agree. It's the biggest issue because it kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere.
Mm.
Uh, Springs, feel free to add on or jump to your own
Y-
point.
yes. It's unsafe and untested, but I think I do fall with you two that it's an issue, but it does play off more of an audience perspective situation where Chad is holding back one of them and it's just focused on biting and not using its hands at all for leverage or grip or scratching or anything of that. The hands are very just loose on all the zombies in the film. And that could be picked up, but then the suggestion should have been from the dad, or the suggestion to not hold the door open was from the dad saying it, who wasn't really attacked, opposed to Chad, who was and would have noticed it more. Um, so it does feel off.
Okay.
And I'm fine with the whole observation stuff. I just don't see the reason for the unnecessary risk. Because even if they're not sentient to open a door, like I said, they could accidentally open the
Yeah,
door.
Yeah,
I see it
I
as an
mean
issue,
we
but I see purpose as to it's not completely out of the blue.
yeah, we see them taking steps later, and we can talk about that when we get there to like tie the doors closed and stuff like that, which I think is a reasonable thing to do once you reach a point in the film. Uh, yes, this is. It seems like an unnecessary risk here. I'm not going to push back on that one.
At the height of fear and everything.
Yeah. Springs, got a point you want to jump to?
Yes, at the very, very beginning, before we see anyone, I hope those words aren't important because I can't read them.
Yes, that's the just Train to Busan. That's just the title, actually.
That all
No,
like
it's
seven of those were just the title.
Am I thinking
uh,
of the right
no,
one?
you're
You,
talking about when the truck driver is pulling up.
I'm thinking before that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was talking about it being like a quarantine zone. My goodness.
Okay, so all that was just talking about a quarantine zone coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean so you mean the sign, not the
I mean, before we
um.
even see a shot in the film, and it's just words on black.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'm like, I hope this isn't like prefacing what the world is or where we're going. I'm like, I
N-
can't read
n-
this.
no, I think those are credits.
Okay.
Yeah. I even if they were, I don't think they were necessarily needed for the film. If they turned out to be like it could be. I don't know. I didn't check.
I'll go with it wasn't needed, I guess, for sorry, American eyes here. It didn't really affect something in the movie because, well, unless it did and I just didn't catch it.
I was like,
Yeah.
it totally could.
Yeah.
If it did, we didn't catch it because we're surprisingly enough illiterate when it comes to Korean.
Hell, I can barely speak it.
But you did make an attempt.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know like the sideways L is makes a Gus sound. There's my Korean.
Ooh.
I'll jump to. Uh, I guess I'll jump to the beginning here because the beginning here is services as a hook. So kind of in a tropey fashion, the truck driver looks down because he needs to grab something or he drops something and runs into a deer, and then we see the deer stand back up after he drives off, which is if you're not really sure what the film was about beforehand, I think that was a pretty good indicator. I think it serves as a very good hook.
Yeah, they did kind of change what I thought they were going for by the end of the film. Because when I saw the zombie deer, I'm like, oh, that it's going to be because in real life we have like zombie deer disease. Um,
Yes.
like, oh, it's going to be like a transferable thing. Like now it's going to pass on to humans or something. But then obviously later we find out that's not what that was. But
The
um,
zombie deer disease? I remember fungus like zombie ant disease. I don't
zombie ants,
remember
no, there's zombie deer
You
stuff. You
are
should look
both
into.
correct.
Yeah.
that's horrifying. All right. I
Oh
got
yeah.
I got some I got some scientific reading material to look into after the
Yeah, it's
podcast.
very fascinating and creepy. So I thought that's
Uh,
what they were doing, like it was gonna be a transferable, like real life reference thing. Like, okay, that's kind of interesting. They didn't do that. Visually
yeah.
cool though.
It
I like the gray eyes and everything.
yes. And it's also just it happens multiple times just when the way zombies turn in this film. The most of the like when the zombies are turning, that's actually like people. So they hired oh, what are, they hired body contortionists. So when they're like twisting and turning as they're coming back, they're that's actually usually the actors doing that or the extras.
Good,
I
good.
can buy it.
Yeah. So looks good. uh all right. Crimson. You can take us somewhere else?
Sure. I'm gonna do a overarching film issue that I had. I think this was my biggest issue in the movie. I'm sure you guys probably picked it up. And it's a problem that a lot of zombie things have, and that's inconsistency with infection rate. And I couldn't find like a clear through line of like, okay, if it's a vital spot, then they'll die, they'll get infected quicker. But then we have non-vital infections that go really quick, like the cheerleader gets bit in the leg and then she turns really quickly.
Yeah.
And then there's father who got bit in the hand; he lasts a while. Um,
Yeah.
it's just very
I
inconsistent.
yes. I not as inconsistent as I thought it was because I agree there is an inconsistency with it. For me, I took it as bites on the extremities being like the hands and the feet or in that range. It takes longer for the infection to sit in, and obviously multiple bites I think induce quicker infection. I think there was the visual cue of the first girl that crawls on the train, or patient zero for the train at least. You can see the infection crawling up her leg, and she's kind of tying it down, trying to delay it. I think there is enough to infer that their intention is that bites on the extremities, not necessarily like if a single bite on the extremities, it's going to be a slower infection than getting multiple bites around the neck or things like that. But I agree with you then, because that makes that makes the cheerleader, I think, the most egregious inconsistency of all of them.
Yeah. I, yeah,
I'm with you, Crimson. It's a inconsistency throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's enough leeway for most of the film, but even if I'm gonna read my inference as fact, being the visual, the cue that we get of the the zombie bite starting and crawling up the leg and with the patient zero on the train, the cheerleader is just the most egregious violation of of the inconsistency with that.
Yeah, but then you also have
Uh,
Chad who was bitten on his finger and he's fighting it
yeah,
off.
yeah. Well, that's why he lasts so long. That's my point. My point is, if you're bitten on an extremity like your finger or your foot, it takes longer for the infection to sit in. That's consistent mostly through the film, with the exception being the cheerleader. Which so I find the cheerleader being the biggest inconsistency with that inference that the film gave us.
Yes, you're giving the patient zero like a far, I guess just left to right, a far left thing, and then the cheerleader far right thing. I see the Chad kind of in the middle
Why?
by his time compared to patient zero. We
Uh,
kind of see his more in real time than in patient zero's.
that's
We also don't know how
true.
long
Patient,
patient zero's had it before getting on the train.
yeah, which is a benefit, and then we see that patient zero also is trying to tie her leg down. So there is something that they're trying to do with that. But I agree, they're not one of it's a difficult one as far as world building problems because they don't really ever get explicit with it. Though I think there's some visual explanations. It's just I don't know how they would get explicit with it because they don't have a scientist with them. You know, there's not some easy observation for them to make. I guess.
No, and the patient zero leg thing really looked like it was the infection was what's the word? Just like through the bloodstream and not some other product. So it would have to be pumped through because I was questioning like when they were being bitten on the neck and how fast they turned, if it was like how fast the infection got to the brain, but the blood flow would still be pumping throughout the body to pass the infection, kind of like by less than a second, essentially.
Yeah, so let me draw a distinction here. I think it works movie wise. I guess the inference that I'm reading in real life, you're right. The blood would just be pumping everywhere. It's an issue that
Yeah.
in that instance. That would be my distinction. If I'm gonna read this as more of a reality take, and I do for a large portion of the film, I would agree that's a very much a larger issue. I think, however, they are fairly consistent with what they establish. My main issue being the cheerleader one. With Chad, I didn't have much of an issue because once they break through the door, he's being bitten continuously at that point for a bit longer. So it's like he's still being bitten in his hands, but he's getting bitten more. So the infection's taking faster hold.
Mm, okay. I just see it as more leaning of movie moment situations. Good movie moments, but breaking
Yeah,
realism.
it's
yeah.
just a genre trope. I don't know any zombie movie that's really like nailed down infection rate. There's always
Yeah,
something that's off.
Didn't World
yeah,
War
I can
Z
agree
have
with
it
that.
pretty decent? You don't really see it a lot. They're just kind of there.
Yeah, I was like, you don't really see anybody get
I
infected in
think
that.
that's the benefit of World War Z. You see, like, the panic set in, but then the zombies kind of blend in with the crowd, you know? Like, you just hear the screaming, if that's what I
Yeah,
remember. So the World War Z has the benefit, I guess, of not really showing the infection from start to finish.
but it does show the
Yeah, like
carnage and how that spreads. So
Yeah.
like you see people get attacked and trampled and bitten, but then the camera like moves away, following like Brad Pitt or something. Like
yeah,
they always pan away.
and the mob just
Yeah.
gets bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say this because the film at least gives us something to infer, even if it's inconsistent. I think that it by itself did do a lot for me in terms of I guess raising my personal likeness of this film because I can infer something with the infection rate rather than just being completely ambiguous.
it's not egregious.
Yeah,
No,
It's
no, no, no.
but I
it could have been
agree.
far worse.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, but yeah, happy we tackled that at the beginning because yeah, because I also was gonna bring that up fairly soon anyway.
Yeah, and it
uh,
kind of piggybacks into an Act 3 issue. So hopefully I can remember to bring it up.
I hope. Uh, all right, Sprinks, got somewhere else you want to go?
I like the start. I just like the whole character arc of the dad throughout the whole thing, and how just showing off that he's an absentee father at the beginning. And I guess just another whole overarching thing with the movie that I really do like is the use of emotions it plays onto when and where to have tension breaks and add humor or sadden beats and all that, and it does it very well with its pacing. But just the
I
beginning bit of like, oh, okay, this dad wants to know the popular toy because he doesn't know his kid, and he gets Suanna a Wii, which just looks over, doesn't say a word, just to indicate that a Wii is in the room. That was so funny.
Y- yes, I agree with almost everything you said because I think one of my favorite moments in the film was when Dad, Chad, and high schooler are all in the cabin together and they exchange a couple jokes because they're just trying to unwind the tension from everything that's going on.
You should be grateful. You have a tacky ringtone.
How do I change it? It's so good. But yeah, I agree with the your assessment though, the pacing, because it's funny the fact that the Wii's already in the room, but it also conveys so much about their relationship as it stands right now.
It's a good use of
And
show, not tell.
there's a lot of that in the film because you mentioned the dad's arc throughout the film. I think his arc is predominantly just in the actions of his character comparatively to other characters because he starts out much more like businessman in this film and ends much more closer to Chad as far as his character arc goes.
Yeah.
And they're never really like there's not really dialogue explicit about it. It's just something they convey through the characters' actions in the film, which I quite liked
Well, I
a
like
bit.
how you have the yin and yang kind of bit of the dad throughout the film, of shifting his character arc from being closer to the businessman to Chad. But in the movie, you have Chad more prominent to a point, and then the businessman kind of just here and there, and then more prominent towards the end. So it's a
Yeah,
good balance of both present throughout.
yeah. Uh, and I mean, I can dive. I can't believe I get to say this. For a zombie film, I got to turn my brain on for like looking at more like the double meanings in sentences and the symbolism that could be potentially happening in scenes. And I've rarely ever get to do that for zombie movies. So I appreciate this film for even giving me the opportunity to even consider doing that. Um, but I'll piggyback after your point, Sprinks, because with as far as the pacing thing, just to have the hook at the beginning to know where we're going to be heading eventually, and then taking the time to introduce us to Suan and Dad uh, as their characters and who they are, and establishing who they are as base characters before they are put on this journey is something a lot of films I'm gonna say struggle to do. Like they don't. It's such a like it's something that films often forget to do is to just to make us care about the characters before they go on a harrowing journey.
Yes, they missed the first, what was it, like 2 steps of Voyage of the Hero, and just start at number 3.
Yeah. So I appreciate the slow start, introducing us to the setting and the characters, and uh, even just the shots of the conductor walking through the train and taking his seat at the driver's seat, just so we get the layout of everything and stuff like that on top of the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the world also being set up too, because you hear about the rioters and just the military being deployed for the rioters,
Yeah,
which interesting that they got away with that terminology for so long. Uh, but that's what they were using, rioters. And then you got
trying to tone down the panic.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
what
you
was
got
the word?
the police vehicles that cut them off and the ash. So there's breadcrumbs of stuff happening in the world, but it's not explicit enough for our characters to know something's big.
Yeah,
Really
So
wrong.
the
Yeah,
broadcast, of the government saying, "We believe that your safety is not in jeopardy," and then it cuts to just explosions in a city landscape, and
Stay
Yeah.
in your homes. Which in this scenario would work because the zombies have to see you.
Well, yeah, they can't open
Yes.
doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. The and it's well, I guess it's more of an act 2 thing, but they do set up in this act the zombies are only interested if they see you, so they obviously do the water and newspaper, which is a very easy, nice, quick solution. I did like that, just to cover the door.
Only
Yes.
cite in quotations. They're also audio based, which kind of brings up a couple issues to me.
Yes. Any of those in Act 1? Or are we gonna save those?
Yeah, I don't think those are in Act 1 though.
Yeah, okay.
Unless you want to do an overarching how the zombies work point.
We could probably do that, I think, once, at least once they're properly introduced, I guess. When again, we didn't have any points more about their introduction. Um,
Save for Act 2.
yeah. Uh, yeah, Crimson. Is that you got a point you want to jump to,
Sure. So,
or was the news your point?
I mean, I guess that was technically my point.
All right, this Sprinks.
All right, I'll go. Jeez, calm down, calm down. I maybe the two of you can clarify for me on something. I think there was a time jump, but I couldn't quite get it when the dad is in his office and he asks Mr. Kim what's the most popular toy, and then we see him in a parking garage. He's on a phone with his mom, I believe. I think it's the mom. His mom. Sorry. So like grandma, um, saying that Suan's birthday is tomorrow. The next scene we see is him coming home and giving Suan her birthday gift. Is it now her birthday and he's giving it the day early, like he forgot? Or is it actually the next day of her birthday that she's getting the gift?
It's the night before because he was going to plan on leaving in the morning.
Yeah, he was planning on to be at work all day and wanted to give it to her
Okay.
early.
Oh, that even. Okay. That hits a little more opening the gift not on the birthday.
Well, his birthday gift is she gets to live. It's
Well,
at the end.
Well,
by
I
the
just mean
end,
the
yeah,
choice of the dad to tell her
yeah.
to open it now versus open this tomorrow on your birthday was like just saying like from dad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree. I guess it kind of depends. I guess what you meant by that, and it hits harder. Because I mean, for me, I like it because he would rather be there to watch her open it. So he still, as he says, he still cares about her. Besides being an absentee father. So I quite like that he asked her to open it so he can watch her do it. But there was the other half of it that I think you might also be angling at, which is that it's not her birthday.
Yeah, which I think would hit harder for Suan. And it's like, oh, it's not my birthday, and you're asking me to open this, which could just be an emotional hit, an emotional tie. And then immediately afterwards, looking at the videotape of the um, song recital, and there's been the difference between the presence of being there for something versus the time the thing is.
Yeah. Uh, my point's actually pretty much in the same spot. Just that scene in general. 'Cause, I think I love that scene between Suan and her and Dad, just because it's everything about their relationship condensed into one scene. At least everything about their relationship that as it stands that we need to know about before they start their adventure. Uh, we get everything that we need to know about their relationship in their back and forth, and then we get the and this is a very very difficult trope to walk. It's a very hard line to walk. Is how emotionally cognizant is a child, right? And I think they do enough to convince me that Suan is in touch with their emotions. But like she knows how to communicate her feelings somewhat to her father, so it doesn't come out of the blue. Like she's there's I have some issues with the dialogue, but that's later on. But I think here I think it's spot on for the kid as well.
Yeah, I'd say she feels like a sad kid.
Yeah. Uh, Crimson got another point.
Yeah, I'll jump back to patient zero getting on the train. I wish it was a little bit better how she got on. The guy looking away at the right moment, not to see her get on, and to not hear her grunting and plopping in.
I don't know where she
Yeah,
was hiding.
that was definitely a movie moment. He went deaf for that to happen.
Went deaf.
You
She
went
had to
blind.
like stumble down the stairs. That there was a lot to have happen for her to get on unnoticed by this guy.
Yeah, I think what might have helped with this potentially is him noticing the commotion at the top of the stairs by then. So like
For
he
sure.
noticed people are being distracted and commotion. Even if he doesn't get tackled yet, he notices he's distracted by that, and then that's why she was able to get on this train so cleanly.
I don't know.
Uh, that would have been my quick fix for it, but it's a lot because she does make a lot of noise getting on the train.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
nitpick for
not
me.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Nitpick. Um, Sprinks.
The raining ash outside the car when they're on their way to drive to the train station, and the ash falls into Suan's hand. Felt very much like the feather in Forrest Gump, where it was all CGI except the piece in the palm and not natural.
Yeah. I can see.
Uh,
It was not real ash.
yeah, it makes sense to me why it wouldn't be real ash, but yeah, I agree.
Okay. It's not an
I like
Edgar
the
Wright,
intent behind the
let's
scene.
do 38 takes to get it to fall in the hand.
Yeah, I
Not
mean
real.
they only have a budget of 8.5 million. They can't they can't roll forever.
That is true.
um, uh, let's see. I'll jump to Suwon needing to go to the restroom because this introduces us to several characters and also gets Dad and Suwon out of place for when the zombie attack happens. It's very plot oriented. Like it's definitely there to move the plot forward, but we meet Chad outside of the restroom with his wife, and he's like, I his dialogue is pretty funny. He pretty much essentially goes that she's gonna be a while. She's peeing for two people right now. um, and then obviously we meet Businessman too, because Businessman would be the guy in person to point out the homeless guy that snuck on the train. Uh, so we get to see their interaction as well.
Yes.
S- So while I do consider it very plot oriented, I don't know if I have a big problem with it because it's a more natural way to introduce other characters that are going to be important going forward.
It's all very plausible.
Yeah.
Convenient for a film's sake that all the characters we care about line up this way, but that, it's fine
It's
with me.
not impossible, yeah.
Well, there are tons of people on this train, so I think it's okay that it's lined up with just these are the ones that could have been focused on. It could have been anyone using the restroom at that time to be the focus point character.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Oh,
Sprinks,
that's
I
me.
think here.
Um, Patient Zero hum like hobbling through a car before collapsing on the other end. I'm just gonna guess that the car she's going through is the quiet car, and people are like sleeping or because whether they're facing forward and seeing her or have their backs turned and she's walking past them, someone would have seen.
Yes, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we can infer that, judging by the lack of reactions.
Yeah,
Uh,
because it
I
wasn't empty.
know, yeah, it wasn't empty, but I think it might have been the quiet car.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
that's the
possible.
best
And
guess I'm going with.
we also
Okay,
live in a time where a lot of people don't care either. I mean,
yeah.
she could have just been a homeless person in their eyes.
I'm rewatching. I have the film up right now. There's a scene where one of the ticketers or conductors, one of the people working on the train, is running through the sleep car trying to wake people up. So I definitely think that there is a couple sleep
Oh,
cars up ahead.
okay.
because he's running through trying to wake people up before he gets tackled and bit.
Well, then that
And she
helps.
would have had to pass them to eat them later.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
All right. Crimson got a point.
Yeah. Um, more just a feeling point, and I really like this turn that the zombies had. It felt so overwhelming, and I was like, how's this still got an hour and a half left? These are some very threatening, scary zombies. They're turning very quick. They're fast, agile zombies. Um, how are they going to make this into a story? And it got me really intrigued by the level of threat that they established here with the everyone running down the cars.
Oh yeah,
It was very intriguing.
definitely goes from 0 to 100.
Yeah,
Yeah, Crimson,
car
your
after
uh,
car after car.
your point out on the agility of the zombies made me question things in an upcoming act about zombies.
uh,
I mean, that'll go with our rules of the zombies talk in
Yeah.
Act Two, probably.
yeah, we got some rules now, but we'll flush those out in Act Two. Um, uh, but yeah, I'm in agreement. Being a first time watcher for this as well, I think when I got to the how quickly things went bad for like 3 or 4 cars at the head of the train, and just how quickly people were being taken down and bit to what was going on now. It was definitely intriguing to go to see where they might take the story. Um, I will quickly. I'll jump. My point will be Granny Suan's grandma and Dad's mother. Giving him the talk about how it's an important time for the business, and he says, and she explicitly says it's an important time for Suan too. Um, and then he watches her start the recital song, which will be relevant at the end of the film. Um,
Little setup.
I Yeah, it's a little bit of a setup. I appreciated the song because, or I appreciated that because this feeds into some of the dialogue they have later on of how he always tries to involve himself in her life any way he can, despite being super busy. Like the fact that she didn't he wasn't at the recital, but he wanted it to be taped so he could watch it.
Yes, reminds me of the beginning of Hook,
Man, I
where
don't remember Hook.
he sends an assistant to go to his son's baseball game to record it for him.
All right, at least a family member went in this version. But yeah, I completely forgot about that. It's been a while since I've seen Hook.
I have another nitpick a bit, and it wouldn't be as much as a nitpick if it wasn't for the focus of the point of the um I guess the other assistant on the train finding patient zero on the ground, and she radios in either the ticketer or the conductor for aid, and her senses are all focused on listening to her radio talk back to her. And patient
And
zero,
not the twisting bones in the
yes,
background.
breaking spine of patient zero leaning up, and that she doesn't pay attention to, I felt as a nitpick since her senses are heightened on listening at the moment.
Evidently, Patient Zero put all her points into stealth because obviously she got right past by the train worker outside.
Yeah, just another
No, I
movie
agree.
moment.
It's nitpick. Yeah,
I
I will
had
say. Uh,
I had less of an issue with her not hearing that because she is kind of hyper focused on the radio. What got me as the movie moment was her slow turn to face it. Like, oh my gosh.
A
yeah,
person.
I will say. Yeah, I will say what I did love about the scene because this is just but me being in the watching a lot of anime and a few other things in that culture of like Asian filmmaking and stuff like that. One of the things that I got as a reference was the when the zombie's kind of up on her knees and has the slow like head turn behind the worker. and like the hair kind of falls down over her face, like uh, just the shot of it. That slow turn of the head is actually very, very much a trope used in anime and Asian filmmaking to kind of symbolize death as uh, as part as like a symbolism with it.
That is true.
Uh, a lot of anime does that. To be fair, my discovery for that was in Garden of Sinners, but I know I've seen it done a lot of times.
Mine would be Resident Evil 1.
Oh yeah.
The game, not the
uh,
movie. Just to
yeah.
clarify.
One day, Sprinks, I'm sure Crimson will subject you to that torture.
Yeah, one day.
Hey, maybe on the pod.
Yeah, one day.
Crimson, go.
uh, issue I had, and maybe you guys can talk me out of it being an issue, but with the daughter bringing up that it's zombies, I didn't really understand how she got to that so quickly with what she knew.
I
uh,
thought it was fine. It shows that this world has zombie media, and it's not like, I don't know what those are. What's going on?
they're walkers, don't you see?
But how did she know that?
Because the guy outside got jumped and was being bitten alive.
She probably could have
Now what
seen
happened?
like a bloodied, haggard person getting tackled outside. That might have led her to at least something.
I
I
just
thought that's
remember
what
looking out.
happened.
No, that was at like the station they passed was the guy at the window. She looked
Yeah,
outside and saw the crowd of people up at the stairs.
The guy outside saw that. Saw that there was a crowd at the top of the stairs and some kind of fight breaking out. But when Sue-Ann looked out the window, whoever that guy was, I thought she saw him get jumped.
she did see him get jumped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she saw that, but that's doesn't mean zombie.
Well, it's kind of the movie point because to save the reveal for patient zero standing of like that's the zombie to not show the zombie here, but from Sue-Ann's angle looking out the window she could have seen more than what we the audience saw from a more center aisle shot out the window, so she could have had
Oh my god, the
more
world exists
biting.
beyond the frame. I'm so happy if that's true.
I'm just saying she could have
Sorry.
seen more than what we saw.
That's getting into assuming though. I mean,
Well, she was still looking out the window as the train was going by.
Yeah, she saw her eyes lingered on that. So even as the train was moving, her eyes were still following what was going on outside. So it's very much a possibility she saw more than we did as the audience.
she didn't
So
even
I
panic that she saw someone get killed or point to someone else to look. Or I mean, she is still a kid. Come on.
Well, I think as a kid,
We're going with she saw someone got murdered by a zombie. There would have been a reaction other than calmly walking to the bathroom to tell people zombie.
well, I think it's more believable for a kid to say zombie off of like I don't know folklore or horror stories
any
or
zombie
kind
media.
of thing versus being like that guy got mugged out there. You see that? It's like, that doesn't seem very believable for a kid to say.
I think you're averting from the point I made though. Going with the terminology that she's using. I don't think she's reacting the way she should if she did see him get killed.
Okay, now that I understand your point, Crimson, I think I agree. I think she would have reacted a bit more strongly. Like she might have, even if it was she was jumped and she was scared, but they were driving away, and then just turned to see her dad falling asleep. So like no one comforted her, and she just chose not to think more on it. But I think seeing her like jump in her seat a little bit might have been something would have fixed your problem. Is that
Well,
where
to
I'm
me,
getting?
I see it as she saw someone get jumped. You guys are taking it. She saw the whole thing of him getting killed by a zombie. And if we're going with that angle, then yeah, her reaction is too subdued for that. I think.
Yeah, I would agree that the reaction is too subdued. I still think she saw the zombie, so I'm fine with that as the terminology. I don't have an issue with her seeing beyond what we see in the frame of the camera.
Sure. I'll go with sure.
The subdued reaction bit.
Yes. Because overall, I don't necessarily think all. There's some standouts, but I don't think all the acting in this movie is great.
I can agree with that. It just doesn't maintain the same quality throughout.
How are we looking on notes for Act 1? Just to give us a gauge real quick.
Maybe
Not
2 or
too
3, maybe, from what I'm looking at.
Crimson?
Not too much.
Okay. We'll do potentially 3 more each. Starting with Springs.
2437 timestamp. There's a zombie running down the aisle with a fixed point camera lens onto the chest. So the
Oh yeah, like the
zombie's
GoPro?
fully, kinda, not so
Yeah.
much that
Not
close of
not
an
quite a
angle, but
GoPro, but
just a fixed camera angle lens on the torso and body of the zombie. So that's center framed, and the whole uh, uh, background is the movement. I thought that was a very clever and fun shot to do with the zombie.
Yeah, I wrote crazed zombie shot.
yeah.
And yeah, it was nice. It's cool.
Yeah, I quite enjoy the whole I guess the breakout of the all the wave of zombies crawling over the chairs behind them and stuff like that too. Um I'll go next. Um I quite like we get a it's very small, but we get a little bit for Chad and pregnant wife, where the zombie attack is going on and they're just surprised and she just like puts it her husband help her and then he does and he just kind of realizes that something's not quite right and secures the zombie in the bathroom and says can you run. I found that a bit enjoyable. I think kind of shows like the what kind of parts they each play in their relationship with each other in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and good quick thinking on his part.
Yeah. Crimson.
So there was something I noticed that, as far as I'm aware, didn't come back, but I could have missed it because I was looking at subtitles. I guess to put it out there, I'm not a big fan of reading subtitles in movies. Obviously, it makes sense. There's no dub of this, but you kind
If
of
there was a dub of
annoying.
it, you would have preferred that, I'm sure.
Yes, because I watch movies to watch what's on screen, but it's kind of like reading a book. But personal thing. Anyways, the point I was going to make was that we get a shot specifically looking at one of the ticketers. I don't, someone locking the door. Like it was a shot focused on that, and like that's going to be an issue. Or we're going to need to get a key to lock a door at some point, or that's relevant. It, as far as I can recall, it's not relevant.
You mean the lock in the ceiling?
Yeah, that doesn't come into play in any way, as far as I can
No.
tell.
It seemed more to be an emergency unlock situation to move the door, so it's not automated.
It's something, but it's not anything that they do do with it.
Well, from what I saw, it had to be unlocked in order to close the door. So it could be from from its um, look and setting, it looks like it could be used to keep the door open by locking it in place.
Okay, I don't see that's something that they needed to focus on, if that's actually what its purpose is.
As I'm saying, I think it was there to just go from automatic to manual.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to remember. Do you have a timestamp, Crimson, for what you're talking about specifically, or is it just
it's when they get on board and they're locking up the train on departure.
Oh,
That's
I see. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I
So
think it's what Spring said. I think it's just switching it over to from auto to manual.
I don't know. I
Um,
might go back because I think there was like writing next to it, so that might say something important regarding what it is.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if there was. Um, uh, I'll jump to the springs. You're gonna jump. You're gonna
Oh,
go.
sweet. The wet newspaper on the door is very smart.
It's a very quick solution. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool thing to do. It's a short-term solution because the paper once the water dries, the paper will
True, but it's a
fall.
good thing
But
to test. Kind of, it's like, oh, it's based on sight. Oh, let's just easily test that. Oh, it worked.
you could do
Yeah,
that. You could put
and then they
a
could
jacket
presumably
to
do
cover
something
it.
else with it to replace it.
Cover it with a jacket or something.
Yeah,
But
Which
it was like
does
a
kind of
neat
happen.
idea.
yeah. Uh, I kind of on just right after that. I like that, or right before that. Dad closing the door on Chad and pregnant wife. And this is obviously it's important for him because it will change. Obviously, this is the start. He hasn't gotten his arc yet, and he's not like willing to save him. Yeah, he's trying to save himself. But I think it's a nice little way through actions to kind of show where he is, and he was willing to, sacrifice a pregnant woman.
Yes.
For the greater good.
For the greater good.
Eh.
Nah.
Eh. The greater good stuff doesn't really sit well with me at times.
Well, I mean that's the whole point.
That's the point of it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable sometimes.
No, I got the
So
whole
One
yes,
person's
Captain
view
America
of what's
mentality.
good is different.
We will
yeah.
not lose one.
Um, but yeah, I do. I appreciate the scene because it's the businessman who encourages him to do it too, which is a nice
Of
detail. So
course,
just
yeah.
kind of setting up a lot of the dynamics in the film, just again through the actions of what the dad is as a character and how he's going to change over the course of the film.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Crimson.
Yeah, let's talk about CGI because this film does have CGI. And here in Act 1, we have the horde of zombies trampling over themselves in one of the train
Yeah.
cars. And it's not too shabby. They're kind of a little like rubbery, but I think a lot of the motion blur they utilize kind of does a good job masking it.
Yeah.
Um,
It
I
looks
don't know if it's
better to
apples
me
versus
than
marble.
World War Z when
Yeah, I'm trying
they're
to compare the two.
yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen World War Z.
Well, much like how Ryder brought up the head turn in a lot of Asian media, CGI usage in live action in Asian media also has very much camera work to try to aid it, not so much cover it, but make it more believable on itself than a still shot.
Yeah.
Um,
It stretches the budget a little bit because definitely a few CGI shots we're gonna get to in Act Two as well that pile on.
yes, but they really stand out if that's the sole focus point kind of a shot versus what they can do to try to help it. Like a still shot of something CGI'd would have to be rendered as realistic as approach to not look fully like CGI or cartoony, whereas the shakiness of a camera or sweeping shots or what have you can add the blur effect to loosen the details on it.
Yeah. Uh,
It's like filming something in the dark to max CG. It's just another
yeah,
trick.
making it dark and rainy so you don't have to render the details
Yeah.
as much on your CGI. And it's a good trick to use when the AI because I think they put most of their budget to use here. Like the 8.5 million budget, I think is very effectively used most of the time. Uh, I think CGI is only used to kind of accentuate the horde of zombies in a way that's supposed to just exaggerate the fear factor, if that makes sense.
Yes, there's a point in Act 2 with the CGI usage which I thought was looked off, and then most definitely in Act 4, I
Or
think. Yeah, which was a very
Th-
questioning, confusing, I'm sorry to even say Resident Evil 6 just plot at you kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about in Act 4, but I guess I'll have to wait till I get there. Uh, uh, I that was your point, right, Crimson? So Sprinks,
I'll
one
go
more.
with one more. One more. Yeah.
Yeah.
When the door is opened and the dad lets in Chad and his wife, and Chad's talking to his wife and says like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill this douche," and like punch him, I think is possibly the worst acting in the movie. He seems so dull and stoic, and there's no emotion behind his words.
Eh,
He was
I don't know
almost
if it's the acting.
sacrificed and died.
Maybe it's the direction. I mean, he
Maybe.
even when he's like scared in this movie, he's not like shown to be like super scared.
No,
He
no,
is
no.
a
He gets
pretty
better,
stoic guy.
but there's like no anger or no like, "Are you okay? Are you safe?" to
So
his wife kind of thing.
yeah, I think that right there is just a difference in cultures because in Asia it's bad to kind of have your emotions exaggerated, quote unquote. So I never really took an issue with an acting, though I guess I can see that is because I can sort of see what you're getting at because I feel like maybe his reaction should have been more
I just think in that
exaggerated,
scene for Chad,
but
there are three big things focusing on the safety of his wife, anger at dad, and relief to be alive. And none of those three is shown. They're just
uh
said.
yeah. I think I don't know what would help it, but my favorite part of that is when the wife is explains that they're just scared, don't actually hit him.
True. But if it was like the CEO or the businessman when later he yells at the cheerleader, like being on the phone, just like more
Yeah.
emotion in that kind of sense.
Yeah, he's yeah, I don't really necessarily I see what you're getting at. I don't think I have an issue with it personally because it's consistent with the rest of him. He's never like overly frightened and he's never he's always calm and collected for a majority of the film. Even when in act 2 at the point where he should have felt his most scared, he was pretty calm and collected then.
I was gonna say he's a pretty level guy. So I think it's within his character. If we had like the father act like that, then yeah, I'd be like, no way, he wouldn't do that. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think it's within him.
Okay, I understand. I don't agree with you saying the father, Crimson.
Like if the roles were reversed, I'm saying he would react more than what
What
Chad
Chad did?
did.
Oh yeah, okay, yes. Yes, yes,
That's what
yes.
I'm saying.
It
Yeah.
was
And
the
it's
father
funny
and Suan.
we get the evidence of that later on of him
Yes.
reacting more maturely. uh, all right. My last point is related to the call that he gets from his grandma or Suan's grandma.
Okay.
Um, so I will talk about that. I think uh, it's happens like right before we see them passing through a train and kind of realizing how bad the outbreak is, because this is what leads into the news that they're gonna get and see, and they're gonna be see the outbreak at the next station that they're not bothering to stop at. Um, but I guess I like the sound editing in it because it helped, I guess, give more of an impact of just like how quiet, like Suan's fading voice, like over what he's thinking. I guess. Um, it was for me. It was a very well put together scene, kind of conveying just the realization of how screwed they actually are.
Yeah, it does kind of bring up a question I have. If it's reality, then it's just kind of a nitpick. But the fact that the grandma, she's like degrading and she yells out "bitch" or whatever by the end of the call before she's completely turned, kind of got me like, okay, you kind of lose yourself for a degree when you're dying. But then at the very end, spoiler, the father dies, and his last moments are him thinking of his daughter. So it kind of seems like you do have control of your final moments, but the grandma seemed to have lost control in her final moment.
Yeah. I I don't have I think the thing that would give me something more definitive to work with in this is if we had context to her death, because she could have just be screaming at some random person that bit her randomly. Um,
Wasn't it within context of talking about the wife?
Wait,
oh, like
what?
she thinks. Okay, I think we get what you're getting at. Maybe you might be right. I don't really remember. I'll have to find the scene.
Just saying, wait.
Sorry, I'm just a little befuddled on what writer's saying on the bite.
On what I'm saying?
That the the grandma saying bitch was in reference to her getting bit? Because I believe she
Uh,
was already infected upon the phone call.
no, no, no. Yeah, she was infected upon the phone call. I thought she was yelling at the person who was uh had infected her. Is what I thought she was doing. But you might be right. I might be remembering the scene wrong because she says that in context to uh his ex-wife.
So I think they might have just been a little inconsistent with the final moments thing.
Yes, I think you might be right.
I can see where you're getting at, but I am in disagreement.
Okay, your POV.
Oh, I think the grandma's uh, um, much like the dad at the end in his last moments are thinking about his daughter. This is her thinking about her loved ones, which is her son upon calling, and then the importance of her granddaughter. And I don't know if full on the phone clicking is her fully choosing to hang up, like in her last point before fully turning, or if that was like disconnected, like phone drop or whatever. But I think she had control as much as the dad did and as much as the businessman did upon the point before turning.
Yeah, I believe she hung up the phone. Just the her saying that just feels incongruent with what we know of her as a character, which is very little. She didn't, up to this point, seem to have any disdain towards the mother. She is pretty supportive of him having a relationship with her for the sake of the daughter. So that kind of just popping out feels like she was degrading, and it wasn't just her.
I don't think there's enough on the character to know fully.
I'm going to label as a nitpick with how I saw it then. I
And
looked up the door thing with the key, and there's an icon where the key is getting plugged into of the doors closing. So it's used to close the exterior doors because put it in, turn it, and then the exterior doors closed with the symbol of doors closing. So it's not a automatic manual thing. It's just to close the exterior door.
Individually,
okay,
though.
Yeah, I would imagine there's a person at each entrance to the train to vet the people
Okay.
entering.
Because there is a point where the conductor from the front of the train opens the doors.
all right.
That's what I'm seeing on screen.
Okay.
And I guess with that, we shall move on to Act Two, which is uh, they're passing through the station, being attacked, pretty much right after the talk with Grandma, and to Dad, Chad, and high school are starting to wrap their hands up and bandages to go rescue their family and get to the other survivors. And we shall start with Sprinks this time.
Oh, let's see. Let's see. My name didn't start with a CR there, so really threw me for a loop.
I
Um,
know. I'm keeping you on your toes.
it's a coincidence that upon them getting to the station, where there's survivors at the station for them to look out the window at, and they get attacked right in the moment that they're passing.
It's
Yeah,
convenient. Yeah.
with how quick everything goes in this film, yeah, It's not like they could have been fighting there for like 20 minutes. It would have to be a pretty in the moment thing to happen.
Yeah. The only thing I could really play off of that aids to it is the trains making noise upon arrival, which draws the attention of the zombies, but it doesn't show that at all.
No, yeah, it's certainly
Our
not
point of view is strictly on the
convenient.
characters in the train. Yeah. Um, I guess I can talk about one of my other broader points before because this is kind of this might segue into just the zombie rules. The infection spreads really quickly.
Oh yeah, it's
It is
everywhere.
a it is a rapid infection everywhere really quickly.
Well, we don't. Maybe the anime explains it. We don't exactly know how or where this started. We
Yeah.
know who's attached to it,
Uh
but
yeah. We know they're attached to it business wise. We don't know if it's their
Not
company, quote
distributed
unquote.
or something.
yeah, we just
Yeah.
don't know if it was on a truck and it fell over and something did this to lead to that. We don't know what spread it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have I think a window of, let's say, from when we see the deer to uh Suwon's birthday. Like we see all the records of all the dying and dead chemicals and just lots of animals dying off
Yeah,
inside of dad's like financial stuff, right?
yeah,
And so
fish article, whatever, which made
yeah,
me like. I mean, the deer questions was it animal testing, and they thought they were safe to be released. The fish thing is like, are they polluting the rivers or waters?
yeah. So there's some work to be had here before like the infection begins proper. It's gotten around, and then I think from the point we see the deer, or at least if the infection started, let's say, elsewhere due to the fish and stuff else, there's at least a 24-hour period where it gets exponential from like their well, a period of a single night at least, and I'm including the day before where dad and Suwon have their conversation and she wants to go to Busan to see mom. Um, Because we see that there's stuff happening when they're up and heading to the train, so presumably stuff is happening all throughout the night. So there is a time frame to work with as far as I guess how rapid the infection becomes. Because this segues into like us watching the news segments. We see I think they're medical choppers, which I think might have fixed one of my earlier problems with just zombies falling from the helicopters into the
Yeah,
like where people are skating in the parking lot.
Yeah, that was a little interesting. Also, I guess it's a small nitpick. I guess it's believable, just small nitpick. Who's taking the time to upload YouTube videos during a zombie apocalypse?
I wrote that. I'm like the two videos we saw. Those people got killed. Someone picked up their phones and uploaded
Yeah,
the video.
that seems so weird. I get it. It's
Unless
like,
they were
oh, it's
live
spreading to
streaming.
show it off, but
No,
Yeah.
there was a play bar at the bottom.
yeah,
It
was
was
that
like
also
a
through
live
the
video.
use of what's being broadcast on TV? Because then it's like, how did
Yeah.
they get access to it?
Yeah. I'm not gonna have too many issues with that because it could have been live streaming and the news service could have just clipped something out of the live stream and just hit that on repeat.
Unfortunately, I would go with that if it said
Uh,
live and it actually has an end time
yeah.
on the
It would be
videos.
it would be it would be nicer if they did that, yeah. But I
There,
don't have any issues with it as it stands. Social media is too widespread at this point.
I have an issue because the people filming it died, and they wouldn't have been the ones to do it. And the way it's presented, it doesn't look live, and the way it's presented doesn't look like the news is sharing it either. There's no like news channel
Yeah, I'll
logo in
go
the
with the nitpick
corner,
of the
nothing.
choice of how they edited to show it off. That being a YouTube video.
That I will concede to. Yes, the choice to edit it as a being in the strange that they could have done all of that would have
Yeah.
explained it.
It could have been
But I
like we
don't have
found
an issue with the
footage.
video being out there.
No, 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 no. But it's like we found footage on recovered phones or whatever, and then it shows clips of that of like just someone's like phone kind of thing, like shaking. Totally fine. Or maybe not totally. I pulled a crimson there. Just like more, just better.
Wait. What does that mean?
What?
Hold the crimson.
Oh, I added an adverb to make it sound better.
Really do that outside the intro. All right. Do we want to talk about the zombie rules now?
Sure.
Sure.
Damn,
May as
just
well.
right. You brought up of movement points, so I don't know if you want
Yes.
to start with that.
With the military ones we see in Act Two, I was questioning, and then I guess also with the other high schoolers or the baseball team, does the physique of a built of a body enhance the capabilities to the max of what the zombie can do? So, like the
And
baseball kids, can they run faster through the use of training for baseball than any other the members on like the train kind of thing?
I'd
I
say
have no idea.
in a realistic setting, I would say absolutely. But with how things are shown in this, I think they're all on the same
They're
level.
just all equal.
I
Okay,
think
that is a
when the
little weird
businessman
then.
when the businessman's taken, I think he's just as threatening and agile as the others. In a realistic setting, I do think they would be better zombies, the more athletic people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the more dramatic comparison for that, right, would be, let's say an old woman got infected. Their bones would have atrophied
well,
and
right. Or an old
have a
woman
lot
does
more
get
issues.
infected.
Yeah, but
You
it's
don't see that
true,
movie.
but we don't see them like sprinting through the cabin to infect somebody else. So, but like in a realistic setting, I would agree that I think it would matter the physique of a zombie. I do think here they're mostly on a level playing field.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
then I
would
guess
love to
that's
see
a
like a 500-pound zombie full charge.
yeah. The
I
you
think
mean
that's
the one they
I think
pull
it's
out of
called
the
Left 4
well
Dead.
in Walking Dead 2?
Yeah, in Walking Dead
Yeah,
season
he's
2,
going just as fast as everyone else.
that'd be hilarious.
Just have that scene of Infinity War where Cap's running in front of the Wakandan army, but just have it that bloated zombie.
That would be
Oh gosh,
hilarious.
I'm just thinking of what was it, the Blob in the X Men
Oh
movie?
yeah,
I'm just picturing that guy running
yeah. He's got
full sprint.
don't know how, but now he's the Juggernaut. That's weird.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Okay, so
But
yeah,
yeah,
the movement,
so
I would say they're all even. I don't think it would be realistic, but it is how they're presenting it in the film, I think.
I'll lean with that as well. Breaks a little realism, but I think it's passable for the entirety of the film.
Long they're mostly consistent with that, so yeah, I would agree.
We have a sight rule with these zombies, which I do think they're mostly consistent about. There's one big issue in Act 4 that I'll bring up on that, but there's a couple instances where the zombies just turn to look at something that didn't make noise. Um, like a reactionary turn, not just like a slow turn, but the
Yeah.
turn and like, oh, now they see him, now they're running. Like, okay, but why did you quick turn? You didn't hear anything. Uh, so I do find some inconsistencies with their awareness of their surroundings for to heighten a scene.
Is it one of those instances where you're happy they didn't show the point of view sense of the zombie on how they pick up humans versus if they showed it and they broke it or showed it and they have to keep to it or one of
Well, they
those
showed
instances?
they work by sight and sound.
Yes, but
So
they
if they're facing one way and someone's behind them, and then they snapshot around when there's no sound to be made, then that's just the movie making a scene. That's not
well no, I agree
reality,
that they use sight and sound, but what to them indicates a human is a human is what I'm getting at.
which gets to another thing. Like when the pregnant lady is ushering people into the restroom, and you got the background zombie that's out of focus, and it kind of looks at her for a little bit. I'm like, okay, from behind her, she could look like a zombie and she could look like a person, but then when she looks at the zombie, then the zombie goes after her. So there's some sort of identification where a zombie needs to see your face, I guess, because from the back it couldn't tell if
Okay.
it was a zombie.
Yeah, I didn't know if this was like a Shaun of the Dead thing and you can like play as a zombie to bypass them, or if this is like I guess Walking Dead again, like just coat yourself in blood and guts to smell like a zombie. And
Yeah, it's definitely more height, and it's definitely more sight and sound, I think, is how they're attributed.
Yeah, I think Spencer just saying how can a zombie visually identify a human from a
from a
zombie?
zombie, yeah, that was my
And
big
the
question. And
best
being
I
that they
got,
don't pinpoint that exact in the movie, is that one of those things that's like it's better that they didn't say what that answer is?
If they did, they would need to be consistent with it. I think it benefits the film. It's just one less thing they have to be like to focus on being consistent with. I think would I guess would be my answer to your question. So it's not necessarily a good thing that they left it out, but it's not necessarily a bad thing either because it's not necessarily a that specifically is not a detriment.
Because it would be interesting if the zombies were like at points attacking each other because they just couldn't tell.
and that gets into one of the issues I was going to bring up regarding rule number 2. They can hear stuff. So we have father like chuck a bag. He uses the phone to distract.
Phone's the best
So
one.
just sound distracts them. And when they're walking around bumping into stuff, I'm like, oh, they should turn and attack the sound. But they don't. They don't do that.
Yeah, if
So
they
it's
would,
only the sounds that are relevant to the story that they react to. It's not just sounds.
Unless it's one of
yeah,
those funny enough, was it even Warm Bodies I'm thinking of that like zombies can see the heartbeat of living things or something?
Yeah, that was Warm Bodies.
Yeah, so like if these zombies don't have a heartbeat, so when they turn and they don't see or pick that up, it's not something to go after, kind of thing.
That's something they have to establish.
Yeah. I'm just saying like the possibilities what it could or could not be, but being that it's not shown to lean on one,
It's like we don't see that they sense to body heat or
no thermal vision.
breathing.
The zombies
yeah,
don't get
Yeah,
colder.
we know they do prioritize a person that is being bit. So like if someone's being bit in front of a someone who's not, they're gonna prioritize the person already being bit.
Yes, which falls into like the virus spread mentality. Like just
Yeah,
find any living host, and maybe the zombies see others of not living, or like a virus seeing a virus.
yeah. Uh, I and to not get off your point, Crimson, about them being inconsistent with the sound. The sounds that they hear are the ones that are relevant to the movie. I agree with that. I think one of the if they were to get better with that, I think they should have been more consistent about like the level of noise. So like, if they're pressing up against the seats and their feet rub against like something metal or step on a can, they would have to compare that to like a really really loud ringtone. Like how does that uh affect the I guess the level of attention the zombies give? Because even if it's just the nearest zombie, that would be one thing. But usually, it gets the entire horde to go in one direction. If one zombie spots them, then the horde will notice immediately afterward. Kind of.
yeah. Like if a zombie stepped on a can, would the whole horde jump the zombie? And they don't deliver the information to me that would say otherwise. I feel like they would. They kind of just blindly follow the sounds that we get to see.
Uh, yes, I agree with that. Um, any other rules that we think the zombies have?
There, unfortunately, it's in um, section or the not section Act 3 about something that the dad does. That was question on zombie thing. If I have the green light to share or not.
Yeah. If we're doing a
Okay.
broader conversation on the
There's
zombies,
a
so
part he takes the shield and starts bashing the zombies' feet, and I thought that was to cripple them, so they have to crawl kind of thing, so they can't use their feet or break the ankles or something. But that doesn't happen.
yeah, they don't really. Yeah, if that did show something, that would be cool. But yeah, nothing really comes of that.
I mean, it's showing that they are non-responsive to
To pain,
pain.
which made
That
me
is
believe
true.
more
Yeah.
that they could push the infected body to the absolute limit, which would go into the ones that could run faster
Peak
than
body.
others. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I said, I would have preferred if they stuck with that kind of mentality, but they didn't.
Yeah. These aren't World War Z zombies that are hauling ass.
God,
Yeah.
every zombie's Usain Bolt.
Those might be the scariest
Yeah.
zombies. They're oh.
Oh yeah. World War Z, we're doomed as a society if that
I'd,
happens.
I'd say this is even a doomed society. I don't know how they contained this.
They didn't. They
Uh,
had the military at this station and they all got infected.
I mean,
yeah.
Busan is, as of by the end, contained.
The
Who knows for how
it's the
long?
sanctuary city. Yeah, good point. I have no idea for how long. Uh, I mean, if any country knows about establishing military protected borders, it would be South Korea. But
Ooh.
um,
They got one
it's
good
it's
wall.
it's true. uh, so like if they do manage to establish a safe zone or quarantine zone, it makes the most sense that uh, they would be the best at holding it. And even then, we kind of see evidence of struggle at in Act 4. Like they lost the outer fence, as we saw uh, in when they are getting to Busan. So it shows that they were under pressure for a perceived period of time, but they managed to keep their area secure still.
That would
Um,
kind of be an interesting movie. It would never be made because it would be so politically charged. But like a zombie outbreak in one of the Koreas, and they tried to go to the other one for safety or something, and the zombies try to
uh,
cross the no man land where all the mines and stuff are. Obviously, that would never happen. But
that would be
kind of
awesome.
interesting.
I would
Yeah,
love to see that. Can a horror just break through the minefields and electric? Well,
yeah,
electric won't fences won't too much, but yeah.
kind of
uh,
interesting.
that I could presumably think of. I don't see them typically doing stuff to zombies, though. I think obviously physiologically they would do something to a living person. I'm not sure about a dead
Somehow,
one. um, I want to talk about. Uh, well, if do we have anything else? Because I am going to jump to something else if we.
On
I
what the
don't.
zombies are, I'm good.
I'll have a couple instances where I'm like, this doesn't work. But rules wise, I think we're good.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense for me then. I will jump to then the conversation that Suwon has with uh, her dad after she gives up her seat to the other old lady, um, and he's trying to explain to her that she needs to worry about herself. I actually quite like this dialogue exchange between Suwon and her dad, where she's just says simply, "Granny's knees always hurt." Like that's why she gave up her seat, and it's such a simple way to rationalize a child's grief. Um, and there's several layers working on this. It could be Suon's way of remembering her grandmother. It could be uh, her way of trying to move on. It could be her way of just uh, the focus of just the granny always had trouble standing and her knees always hurt, so that's why she gave up her seat. It's a small thing I really liked. Um, and to kind of contrast with that, because I really love that dialogue exchange, I thought the dialogue exchange between Suwon and her dad at the station when they're going off to their little different direction to think they're going to be saved, that one might have crossed the line for me in terms of believability. I think it's something Suwon would say, but I would want her. I think the character needed to be pushed a little bit more to be very blunt like that.
Of saying you don't care about anybody but yourself. That
Yeah,
line.
yeah. I think that's something Suwon would say, but I think she needed to be in a more stressful situation as far as like uh immediate stressful situation.
Okay.
So we have her seeing her dad close the door on Chad and pregnant woman. She saw that as being selfish, uh, and then she sees them leaving them all to be quarantined, which I guess to her doesn't mean like they're dying. So mm, I think that's a hard one to
Yeah,
pin
like I, said,
down.
to be clear, I think it's in character. I think just I think it's more of just like it felt a little out of place in the sense of like that's why mom left, you know. I think it works. I just think I want it me being the perfectionist I am when it comes to dialogue. I think I would want it to be a little bit better.
What do you think, Springs?
I think it's good. I think it's a good hit of emotions that Suen's kind of broken down a little of the situation with her father, and this is she has to rely on in the situation of the time, and it's kind of getting everyone down emotionally and panicked. So it wasn't so much as I think she has the strength to hold back normally throughout life, but this is a situation where she's kind of pressed to go against her father in a situation. So it's her lashing out as attacks a bit, not to harm, but just pressed into a corner kind of situation. So I think it's fully believable to say that upon her father to get a slight reality check, which kind of is a slight payoff to the buildup of what the grandma said to him before he opened the camera to see the songs recital. Um, so it's kind of a hit onto that to help the father's character arc throughout the film and change to be better. Um,
Yeah. No, I'm not questioning the necessity for it. I think I just want to tweak the dialogue just a tiny bit. And it's I think a lot of it's just more down to uh it might just be you know, it might just be personal preference. It's just that the previous dialogue scenes were very, very good at conveying the subtlety behind the intentions of the characters, and it to be kind of flip and be very, very blunt and direct was a bit of a jump for me. That might be why I draw some issues with the dialogue, not necessarily the dialogue itself. It's just, I guess, the situation around it. Because I think I agree with everything you said. So, Sprinks.
That's me. Use of bad editing, I think. I get the point, but I didn't like it. It's at 38 minutes 27 seconds when the dad's on the phone, and I believe it's Mr. Kim telling him like, when you get to the station, take the east side exit instead of the main gate. And it's a short shot of like a second and a half on the dad's eyes and his eyebrows raising, and it's like an extreme close up before going back to the close up of his head. I just don't think it was needed. I think you could have just still done it with just a longer take of the head of him realizing in a full facial shot of being like, "Oh, we'll be saved by this," rather than a closer cut just to the eyes. It felt kind of choppy in the editing.
Yeah, for me, I can agree with that, or I can see why you think that, or so I won't dispute that.
It's like that kind of sounds like a preference thing because what the shot is conveying still is relevant to what's happening on screen. So it's not like a useless shot.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't
and
think it's
I'm sorry,
choppy.
you finish. Yeah, I'm numb to stuff like that because again, anime does that all the time, where you have your like extreme close up to the eyes or the brows, uh, to help convey emotion and stuff like that. And then you cut to something a little bit more middle distance, not necessarily all mid distance, but
True, but
um,
the takes for those emotions to hit need breathing room in between the cuts to emotionally hit the audience into the character's reaction. And these are very quick and fast where the eye shot is a blink and you miss it moment, which I think had no time to breathe or take in. Which I go onto the editing, just editing too quick. The shot can be used, and that's fine. Just give it more time to be on screen.
it also might the this might, again might be a personal thing because I question for you, Springs. Is it possible that the subtitles were the reason that it didn't feel as long, or is that
No,
where you legitimately think of the entire shot?
no. The shot was a second and a half,
Okay,
and the whole scene is the phone call with Mr. Kim about how the dad's going to protect his daughter.
yeah,
So it like in comparison of this phone call on how to protect and the emotions going through the dad on a phone call with Mr. Kim, opposed to which I think is a much better filming and way shot of him in the bathroom with the mirrors getting the phone call from Mr. Kim. It just this seemed It seemed like, oh, a cool idea that could have been on the cutting room floor, but they really want to include it situation, but I don't know, runtime situation or maybe a pace they thought it would hit better, but it just, or maybe also again my American eyes and it's a foreign thing that is different, but it just seemed too quick for an intake to flow with the character.
All right. Crimson.
All right. So there's a certain level with any hysterical citizen you'd see in a apocalypse movie, or just a stressful situation in a film, where you got to balance: are they too stressed to think rationally? And I'm having trouble rationalizing that concept with the people that opened the train and let out the zombies when they were trying to get out of the airport or the train station. Because they're the first people that go out, they open the door and the zombies start flooding out. And I'm just thinking, you can see the zombies in the window. The zombies see them and they're being in their frantic mode. So they'd be hitting the door, making noise, and they had plenty of time to react to seeing and or hearing them at that door, and yet they still opened the door. I think that
Yeah.
was pushing it too much.
I'm not completely in that direction, but I'm definitely 50-50 on it. Because I can obviously see the level of stress that would induce somebody to just forget that there were zombies in there because all they hear is the screaming and they're just trying to run. Um, with what you laid out, there is a lot of things that would have clued them in to figure it out before they open the door. So I'm 50-50 on it, I think. It's kind of I can see it being an issue, but I can be talked out of it being an issue.
What do you think, Sprice?
Sprinks. Yeah.
No boy. Um, I see it. I see it more as an issue to release the zombies because that would have been the unsafe way since they're contained.
No. What we're thinking is, are the people too panicked to realize that the zombie they're trying to just get back on the train and just forgot that was one of the cabins with
Oh
zombies in it.
no, no! Everyone should know that there's only like a few cabins or a few cars safe on the train because of a zombie outbreak for anyone who was on the train. If there was like survivors in the station who were running to the train, then sure, they didn't know, and that would make more sense. But since everyone who got off the train is from the train, it's that's dumb.
Yeah. Well, kind of what we're talking about is just, are they panicked enough to forget
No,
or just to move?
they shouldn't
Okay,
be.
you're just honest.
They should be focused on safety of the zombies, and they should know that there's a zombie outbreak on the train and to enter where they got off of, since all the doors are closed.
All right.
Sounds like
Yeah.
you have no room for human error when cognitively stressed. I'm on the side that it is an issue, but I'm seeing it for different reasons than you. It seems.
Well, Crimson, I've also picked up from what I've seen is you don't necessarily think the emotion or variables of a human being can be any situation through the experience of someone else.
Break that down. What does that mean?
When you brought up Sue Ann looking out the window and how her reaction wasn't as fine, it's like any kid could react differently depending on the kid's experience of life.
Well, we know she hasn't seen anyone get eaten alive.
In real
She
life, no, but we know she knows about zombies, and how she knows about zombies could have been some other reason. Maybe she saw a movie or something gruesome or graphic. So
I fail to see the point you're trying to make here.
I'm just saying humans are capable of various situations at hand and emotions, and I don't think they
Yes,
need to stick to
and
one.
you're saying in this that regardless of their emotion, they should have thought about the zombies. You're putting aside their emotions,
No,
actually.
no, I'm thinking they're focused on the zombies. They're focused on survival, but the survival should know that the train they just got off of is still full of zombies, and the reason why they had to move to the front of the train. If they're running from zombies behind them to get on the train, I feel like their focus and point should be get to the front of the train first because that's the safest point to be at. rather than trying to guess. Oh, is it this car? No, wait, is it this? Which was the car that's like next to the zombie? It's like just get to the front of the train.
Well, I mean, they opened the first car they reached. It just happened to be a zombie-filled car.
Yeah, that's a 50-50 gamble, and I think that's kind of dumb because that's not just gambling one life; that's gambling everyone else's life who's survived with them.
That's getting to the point I'm trying to make of how rational people are in moments of stress. They're getting chased by killer zombies and they're being reactionary. They are not thinking straight. They are reacting. We're about to get killed by these zombies. This is my option.
I,
And I think they should have heard the zombies in the train car bashing the door. That's my issue with the scene.
oh, that could have worked. Yeah, the audio of that, but if yeah, it did fall into the quote I did write down, not from this movie, but throughout the entirety of this movie, I just kept thinking it to myself. A person is smart, people are dumb. Panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. And I've thought that throughout this whole movie.
Yeah. And just to clarify, I guess my position with Crimson is I see the point Crimson's making. I'm 50-50 on it because that doesn't necessarily account for the screaming and just the panicky sense of while you are accounting for them just being panicky and opening the door, and there's a lot of evidence that they should not have opened that particular train car. I think they are just hearing the screams of people behind them still. That's what they're primarily focused on. So that's why I'm on the 50-50 side of it being uh, whether their irrationality is catching up with them because they're panicked. Um, all right, I will jump to um. It's a definitely a movie moment. Suwon standing in place where she would be hearing zombies and people screaming from the staircase. So she's just standing there, kind of looking at her dad and waiting for him to run and pick her up.
Mhm.
Well,
Is this? I don't necessarily have an issue with her waiting for her dad. I have an issue with her just not like. This goes into a little bit of what you were saying, Crimson, about this. This is what I had more of an issue with is that she's not reacting to what's going on around her. The screams would definitely pull a child's attention.
Yeah, she doesn't acknowledge them. She doesn't run towards her dad. I think it'd be a bit much if she ran away from her
Yeah, I
dad.
don't think she would run away, but
She does just stand there, unacknowledging of what's happening behind
interesting.
uh,
Huh. I did not pick up that from the scene.
uh, feel free to add what you
I
picked up.
I had I had her frozen in place, not knowing what to do because there were zombies from her left that were attacking people, and then down the aisle where her dad said was safe, zombies are coming from. So she doesn't know where to go, and all her faith and trust is just put into what her dad is going to do.
I would be more on that side if we see her react to what's going on to her left at all.
That
Like so
would
if we see it if we had a shot from her looking to her left and seeing the panic and then she freezes up, then I'm 100% on board with that.
okay.
Uh but yes, I could definitely see why you would want to I could see why that's read into the scene. It's not too much for me as far as I guess a perspective to have on it. Um and actually I this reminded me I want to talk about the scene where dad goes off to talk with Kim on the phone. Suwon has a scene with Chad and his wife. Uh,
Oh, the
and
belly.
that
Okay.
yeah, the belly scene and Chad is asking her after his dad and she says he's a bloodsucker and then Suwon just goes, "Yeah, I know." I think that is solid grounds as to why Chad would divert to help save the kid.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a setup as to why they help get Suwon out of there.
Yeah. She's innocent and all of it.
Yeah. So they have a good bonding scene. So it's not unreasonable that Chad and pregnant woman would go out of the way as they're trying to run from zombies to save Suwon.
And also
her. Yeah,
bringing up the
and it's
belly
not much.
scene, a good setup to the baby doesn't have a name.
Yes. You were saying something, Crimson.
I was saying, yeah, it's not. It wasn't a crazy detour for them either. To be
Yeah.
fair, they didn't
Yeah.
have to help her.
Yeah. It's kind of again. It just goes into why I think they the setup to that was nice. Um. No, Spriggs. You're up.
Oh boy. The east exit, and the homeless man's running and screaming to someone hobbling and limping towards him, thinking it's aid. I thought was a little dumb. I guess he can see like, oh, that's a human, but it does play off like maybe that's the last and only survivor, which is wearing from where they said it was safe. And if someone's injured in a zombie apocalypse, should be very wary and not draw a lot of attention to it. But immediately after, at the 44-47 mark of the zombie behind him, taking him down is a sped up shot, which looks a bit goofy.
The one. This is the guy that the homeless guy is running towards, right?
Yes. And then a zombie behind him like tumbles around and then jumps on him and he falls forward.
Yeah.
It's a
My.
sped up.
Yeah, I have a couple issues with this stuff at the train station. I think it's very good for keeping the roller coaster, as it were, of the film going. I think homeless guy and dad would have noticed that he's bloody and haggard and would have decided to go the other way.
I think they would have been cautious, but they could still tell it's a human and not a zombie.
Yeah,
Especially
I
Because
think
since
even
this
the
is
homeless
what
guy has a limp this whole movie. Kind of has a zombie walk.
yeah. I think it's also plays into this is what Kim told the dad to trust in.
I don't have too much of an issue with it because at least from how we saw the guy from across the hall, you couldn't really make out much detail out of him. You could tell his walk that he was a little limpy, but you couldn't tell that he was all bloodied up and stuff. Now the homeless man would have been closer to him once he was running, so that's a little different.
Yeah. And the defense for the dad here is he's on the phone and he's distracted. Where Kim is yelling, "It's like I couldn't get in contact with my men. What's going on? Are you there?" That sort of thing.
Yeah. It's also I see it as an after effect, like um, edited of when the zombies would I touched on like two CGI moments. One's here of the zombies breaking out of the glass and landing on
And
top of the
falling onto the
train.
train.
The
Yeah.
Yeah,
camera is edited with an earthquake effect, and that's not a handheld shaky cam usage, which just goes into the low the aid to the low rendering.
yeah, certainly an artificial camera movement,
Yes, I
and I
agree
think
because it just starts as soon as like they start falling onto the train, the shaking starts.
I think that's the worst CG in the movie. I personally, them breaking through that window and landing on the train didn't look amazing.
I
I
think I
have one
agree.
that's tied with it.
Yeah,
It's up
I think I
there, but
agree. That might be the worst one for me as well. It does convey the scene effectively, and it leads to the grannies getting separated.
yes. I have a question that maybe you guys can help me answer. The train is leaving, and people are still trying to get on the train, and we've seen that the conductor can close all the doors from his cockpit up front. Why are the doors on the train still open?
And that's an issue I
Uh,
have in
If
this
it's
movie
being
in a
chased
couple
by
moments. Like,
zombies.
why aren't doors closing? There's a few moments in the movie where I'm like, why aren't you guys closing doors?
Yeah.
Um,
I get it's for the
and this
sake
was
to get Chad and the dad and the high schooler onto the train, but I just don't understand why it's open.
yeah, they're lucky because that door was open when they got there, while all the other ones are
Oh,
closed.
wait.
It
Is
it
that
could
the
be the
door that was opened by what Crimson brought up of the people panicking to open it? So the doors
uh
were all closed except that one?
it could be that one, or it could be their original passenger car, for all we know, where everybody was getting off the train.
It's not that one
Because
because they're in car 9 at this point and they have to go up to 15 to be safe.
It could have been the one that they opened because all the zombies ran out of it.
Then that plays into what I would see as just a plot convenience. That
Yeah,
it's
that
set up that
they
way
opened
just for
the door.
later.
Yeah, I would say so. I'd have to look back and see like the blood on the doorway and see if it's the same like doorway. That makes sense laying it out like that.
Mm. Falls into a nip.
Okay.
Well, actually, that's a little more nitpick if that's a setup to it.
Uh,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
this
I'm
feels
I'm
like
going I'm going through the train cars right now since I have the movie up.
Yeah,
So give me a sec.
because they get in car 9, they have to go
The
save
group,
everyone in car 13 of the girls, and car 15 is the safe one.
yeah, the high schoolers get off of car 12. Uh, we see businessman and uh, get off of car. Oh, what's it called? Get off of car 1A, I think. So I'm going scrolling now to see where they got the zombies, where they come out of for when the panicky people get
Yeah,
open the train.
because if that's car 9, then
Yeah, yeah.
I get it. They have to explain how that door's open. But
I guess I'll bring up a different point while writers are looking. Uh, it's kind of
They open car
confusing.
6. Sorry.
So it's not 9, which
oh,
means that's not the
well, then
solution.
that just goes into more then the question of like, why are the doors open?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was going to be a problem either way. I was just kind of defining what the problem was. Um. All right. Crimson, you were going to bring a point.
Yeah, glass. There's a lot of glass in this movie that breaks, and I don't feel like they're all treated equally.
No.
I know some could make sense, like the train station one that they fall onto the train. That's probably different glass than the glass on the train, or probably it's probably different glass than the glass
That they're trying to
doors.
close, yeah.
Um, but it's there's so much different glass and different levels of strength it has. Even in the last act where the train's like leaning on top of uh, homeless man, pregnant lady, all of them, and the zombies are pressed up against it. Uh, it's just so much, and I don't think they're really consistent with it.
Yeah. I will say I had a similar thought, Crimson. I was gonna say I when I was watching the first, I want to say hour of the film, like wow, or the first I guess 45 minutes, like wow, this isn't movie glass. It's nice to see glass not break instantly, and then the rest of the film happened. I'm like, okay, it's getting a little inconsistent now.
Uh, I'm going to be in the 50-50 range because I don't know what parts of a train use what parts of glass.
Yeah, I guess I understand that.
We know one area requires a heck of a lot of beating with a baseball bat.
Yeah,
That's
but
for
is it
sure.
bulletproof? Is it plexiglass? Is it standard? Is it
Yeah, it's not bulletproof.
Probably.
I know the train glass is pretty strong, so you can't easily break through it. That's why I do appreciate that it took time for them to bat
yeah.
their way
But
through
when
it.
it did break, it did
Um,
shatter. It didn't like plasticky fold kind of.
yeah. Uh, so there is some leeway, but yeah, I think if they were consistent with at least the ones on the train, I think that would have been good.
Does the excess of a fire extinguisher change anything to the glass?
I think they were just doing that to hide the visual.
They did, but would it
Uh,
affect anything? And
Brooks is saying, is it like a glue, a glue
would it
layer?
thicken
I
it? Would
don't
it
think so.
adhere to it to make
um,
it stronger? Would it?
tip It's a chemical cooling, usually from a fire extinguisher, so, like, frozen glass is more brittle than, like, uh, normal glass, in the same way that obviously hot glass is melted. Um, so,
So if anything, they weakened the glass by doing that.
I mean, but, you're sacrificing it for, like, the visual of, like, the zombies can't see you, which is an established rule that our
That's
characters understand.
True, but then when it goes
yeah.
into a baseball bat being whacked on it,
Yeah,
I mean, we'll get into the whole choice of them doing what they were doing to
yeah.
that.
yeah,
I'm just saying I'm on the
uh
fence because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think to be clear, after saying all that, I don't think in our reality at least, fire extinguisher would be enough to actually weaken glass by itself. I think it's a prolonged cooling that would affect the glass.
Yes, I agree with that. And then more on the glass topic, they're holding back a horde of zombies with the glass doors within the station, and they're trying to lock the top, or Chad is, and it's just very lucky that all the glass windows around them aren't breaking, and they all happen to break at the same time. And it's crazy that like five people can hold up two doors held by a horde of bodies. That I think is too much.
Uh,
Sheer
yes.
numbers alone.
The sheer numbers is kind of where that I have plot armor attached to the characters. I'm It's not as terrible that the glass doesn't break until they leave it. Because when you're pushing against something, I'm sorry, well, given that they have plot armor for the scene, that's why it doesn't break. Up until they stop putting pressure on it. In the terms of physics, they're applying this equal amount of force back, which is why it doesn't break. Does that make sense?
I would agree
Until
with
they let go.
you, but we see that the other panels not at that door are cracking already by themselves. So even if they stayed there the whole time, those would have given out on
Oh
their
yeah,
own
yeah, yeah.
as it's just piled up by bodies.
Right. No, no, no. Like I said, given the plot armor with the bodies, talking more about the glass breaking itself.
Yes, once they're not supporting it, it makes sense that it would all give in or give out.
Okay. Then yes, I think then we're on the same page, I believe. um, I will jump to uh I think the zombie horde, while it's fun the way they're revealed, I guess at the bottom of the stairs, um, it's lucky that the zombies didn't notice them beforehand, if that makes sense.
It's just like Walking Dead pilot where
Yeah.
Rick's walking
Where they
down the
just
street
where he just
and there's
walks around the
nothing
corner.
there. And
Yeah.
then yeah, then every single zombie in the city's in that area. Same thing here. I don't know why there's like an artificial wall where they are.
Yeah, I don't
It
know
would
why
be
they're herded together or why they aren't spread out. It's a cool visual, but it's the same thing. It's there for the visual, you know.
yeah.
Sprinks got a point.
Let's see. It's convenient that the only two survivors of the baseball team high schoolers left is the two love interest ones.
Can you say that
Convenient.
one more time?
No, it's just
Uh,
for the story to lay out that way.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely plot convenience to that. I mean, they're the ones that are given the most attention at the start of the film.
Yeah, but the
So
one we see
if
isn't
any
the
one of
strongest on the team to survive.
yeah,
Yeah.
So it's just
That makes
written
sense.
that way.
Yeah, I agree. Something I find entertaining about this zombie film is the lack of weapons. There's not much in here. You get the baseball bats by the high schoolers, and one bat carried throughout past that, and that's about it.
yeah, they
There's
have a
not much.
police shield for a bit because Chad grabbed one.
Yeah, and that's more like a barrier protection thing than a
Yeah,
weapon. Even though
it
it
is.
does try to get used as one.
Yeah, I do. It's makes the dynamic a little more interesting because they're using with just what they have on hand.
With the fact of punching zombies in the face and elbowing them and make use weapons that they just find around, it felt very Dead Rising.
To a degree, I mean, they don't have a lot of makeshift weapons or anything, but
No, but just being able to just like use your fists and run away kind of thing.
I would be so afraid to punch a zombie mouth. Like if one tooth nicks you, you're dead, probably.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a cool visual, seeing a burly buff man punching zombies in the face.
I mean, that's why I also appreciate that he covered his fists up in like tape and
Well, I wish he
straps.
covered his fists. He would have been
Yeah, it was just
okay.
his forearms.
He just did his forearms.
Yeah. Well, Um, I thought it ran up to his knuckles.
No,
No.
it ran up to his wrist,
Okay.
and same with
Okay.
the high schooler.
Then yeah, that's on him. But yeah, it is a cool visual. I mean, for him, it's been working the entire film. So, uh, Crimson got another point to jump to. Oh no, that was yours. Springs.
Oh shoot. Actually, looking at what I have, we've gone over everything I have left for this act.
All right. Crimson, do you have anything left?
Sure.
How are you
The,
looking
the
on your notes?
the homeless guy is established to have overheard father on the phone about the going to the east route, and I found that kind of neat. Just another example of something in the background happening because we do see him sitting in the chair
Listening
in the
in, yeah.
train car. To us, he looks unresponsive and not paying attention to anything, but obviously he did later.
Mhm.
So it's kind of cool to lay that out. It's kind of an interesting
Uh,
character, the homeless guy.
yeah, he's just trying to survive, and then he comes across as just a decent person who's just trying to survive. So he's not like the protagonist or anything, but he does, he takes on a more heroic role at the end. So, yeah, I agree with that. It's some good stuff. Um, I like the interaction that a businessman has with a train worker. Like, why haven't we left yet? And the train worker throws him down. It's like, we're trying to save people. And then obviously the train worker has his limits on that. When the cheerleader girls, my friends are still not here.
Mm.
So some good stuff there, I think, because we're getting a little, we're starting to switch over to the businessman being a little bit more of an antagonist. So we're getting some setup to it, and obviously he's not necessarily bullying the train worker, but he's making valid points that to the train worker that he can't ignore. How many points you got left, Crimson? Or are we ready for Act Three?
I can do one more.
All right.
So more on the audio or like the hearing inconsistencies with the zombies is pregnant lady, the daughter, and the old lady. I think
Yeah,
whoever got
and
on
homeless guy.
the zombie car and the they all got on the train car and closed the door, and then we realized they're in a zombie car.
Yeah,
None
even
of the
more than
zombies
that.
heard the door close or them get on board.
Yeah, even more than that, the homeless guy is yelling at them to let him on board.
That will break it.
So
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big inconsistency with the audio, and that would have killed them.
that is
That's kind of
that
a
I
big
think
thing.
is probably outside of maybe the train accident. That might be the worst case of plot armor, I think, in the film.
If it wasn't for the homeless man yelling, I would be in disagreement. But I agree.
Why would you have been in disagreement?
The noise of the train rumbling outside upon movement could have been enough to cover their noise inside the train before
Well, they
closing the door.
closed the door. I'm not talking about the bathroom door. I'm talking about the exterior door.
Yeah. Upon the point of when that closes, then the noise is only them inside the interior.
Yeah, and I'm fine with
Okay,
they
yeah,
were
I guess
quiet
that
while they're smoking.
that funny enough, that might go into just the rule thing. Is like how much is white, like how much does quote unquote white noise affect the zombies? Because if that's true, they would hear theoretically the train most of the time. It'd be subtle movements of the train, but while the door is open, they would hear the train along the tracks and stuff like that.
Yeah, if it's not
So
wildly loud, I suppose. But then again, the train moving for them to get on the train should have drawn the attention if the door's open for the zombies to go to that noise. If
yeah,
noise is what draws them, it plays off not necessarily as prominent because it's very focused in the comparison to a making of a quiet place, where noise is very important for um, the creatures to detect. But there are points where, like, a waterfall will cover someone screaming because the outward sound covers it and masks it.
Yeah, it's just an aspect of this film I wish they didn't add. I wish the zombies were visual. I think
yeah.
the sound thing was an
If the
unnecessary add-on.
Yeah, if the sound thing were going to be something they did with it, it would be so cool if they were consistent with it. To be fair, it's a hard thing to get right, so I don't blame them for trying. uh, all right, I think that's pretty much all I got for Act Two. So we shall jump to Act Three, uh, which is from pretty much our group arming themselves up and passing through the cars to when Dad washes the blood from his hands, quite literally. And I will start this one.
Oh boy.
Uh, I do. Uh, the businessman really turns the crowd against the other survivors. I think they at least in at the start of it, it's not really that overplayed because you make some sound arguments. They're going to come through all those zombie infested cars uninjured because they don't know that the zombies are based on sight and hearing. So, like when the tunnel's dark, they don't know that that's a method that they can move through the trains. And even our survivors who are going to be moving through don't know that. So, I it's very very cruel, but it comes across as a sensible choice for the businessman character to make.
Yeah, the part I was tackling with, and I wrote it down, was in regards to how much do these people know at this point? Because the thing I was thinking of, like, he's like, they could be infected. And I'm like, do these people, have they seen enough of how quickly the infected turn? Part of me is leaning they have, but I don't know if they've shown it definitively enough to where I can apply it.
I
My
think the only uh,
my
you
little
first,
thing to it
Spence.
is that they didn't fight back with proof. Like it was all hearsay of like, wow, you guys side with him and then agreeing to be safe. Versus being like, check my body, take off my shirt, where do you see a bite mark? What indicates that I am in fact like that kind of thing. Because none of them have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so I guess on your point, Crimson, I'm I'm 50-50 on it, most shockingly enough. Sorry to I guess pussy out of an argument for it, but uh I think because they're survivors, they most of them, if not all of them, wouldn't have seen much of someone being infected. They would see someone getting bitten, turn and run the other way. That's kind of how they all survived. Um, so I'm not really sure what at least the crowd would think, quote unquote.
I mean, that's kind of
Um,
what I was on. Like I was saying, I feel like at least one person would acknowledge how fast they turn, but it's not something definitive enough to where I can apply it objectively.
yeah, I'm in the same boat. I would want to apply it objectively, but I think they do just enough to kind of skirt the line on that. Um, all right. Uh, that was a me point starting out, so we will go to Sprinks.
Oh boy. Um it would have looked fine if the train went downward so that there would be a little more of like zero G in the cart for it to pull off. But the train is going very straight, very horizontally on the earth. So when Chad takes a zombie and hoists him up at the 57-minute mark into the ceiling, the dude's got some strength.
I undoubtedly.
I mean, have you seen him? The guy clearly lifts.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
the zombies don't get lighter. That's still a full blown adult body he's hoisting up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's established strength, I guess, because even when he's dying, he holds a zombie
Yeah.
horizontally to block a
Yeah.
horde.
And I might be numb to that just because I live in a house of Marines, but I see people like thrown like I see full adults thrown about all the fucking time when they're having a rout. A row.
Sprinks, I'll agree with you. I think they showed it very effortlessly, like the zombie felt
Did
floaty,
he do it one handed?
but no.
Okay.
That
No,
was two-handed.
I do remember
Uh,
doing two-handed.
yeah, it felt a little floaty, but I obviously it was a sacrifice for the shot, and I think it was a good addition. I don't think it was immersion breaking.
Yeah. Based on that, yes, I do think the zombie is a bit floaty. Not terrible, but uh, he is very strong.
Well, as I mentioned, him and a couple guys held an entire horde
Yeah.
Yeah.
against
They're
each
all
other.
to their credit, they are all the athletes, but
I mean, that was
um,
thousands of pounds of force being pushed on them at that last time.
yeah, no, like I said, it's got its limits. I agree. um, but yeah, it's I think him being capable of that is consistent with what we've seen. Uh, how about we go with you, Crimson?
All right. This I kind of vaguely mentioned this as a thing. I didn't directly reference it, but this is where it comes up. The 180 turnaround thing. So you have them in the dark and they skirt around the zombies by distracting them with the phone at their and the zombies are at the other end of the car. And then they exit the tunnel and they're on one end. Right when the light turns on, all the zombies turn their heads to them. And
Yeah,
that was like, why did that happen? They made no noise. They were occupied with the phone. No, none of them were looking behind them because they were all looking at the phone. So that was a, see what you're doing. There's light now. They're more dangerous and active, but it breaks the established rules of the zombies.
I agree. I think if they just needed to have one accidentally look in their direction, and then that could draw the rest, but they all 180, I think, which is the
Instantly
problem.
180'd right when the light turned on.
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
got an issue with that.
Um, how do I say this? I see what you're saying. Understand it. I, hmm, I, the best I can go with in hinting is that sunlight has some kind of visual aid or sense to them, since I still don't know how they detect a human and what they are.
Are you playing this with a devil's advocate or something you're actually applying?
More devil's advocate because I
Okay.
don't know. But the fact that they all turn is like they all sensed the human in the room upon the light hitting the human.
I mean, y- the I you're right because in the sense that like they're never explicit about like
I see that it's
how
like
the
it's
zombies
convenient
sense
and
them,
it's a movie
but
moment, but I don't see it as breaking because it's a don't know.
I don't even know what that even means though. That sunlight touches a human, now they know where the human is.
I don't know.
I don't
Is
understand.
it vitamin
That's
D
that.
intake? Is it UV rays? Is it
That's
I don't know.
that's something that I think has to actually get established as a rule. I mean, they established sight and hearing as a rule. Sun rays bouncing off a human and emitting some chemical into the air for the zombies to sniff out. That would be anytime they're in sunlight, then, which they wouldn't be consistent with that.
Again, I don't know because it's not shown.
So you're not applying it objectively. That's the devil's advocate.
Yes.
Just- Okay.
I'm just saying from what is shown, that is how they react to it in the situation.
um I will I don't really have any much more to add, so I will jump to uh the I guess the aftermath of Chad's sacrifice. I really like the fact that Dad punches businessman and yells at him. It was very it's emotionally satisfying, and I think it fits with his character because they could have saved everybody.
Yes.
Yeah,
One of those big
I
turning
think it was.
points that instead of Chad to the dad, it's now the dad to the businessman.
Yeah, because Chad and him have been partnered up, and Chad's sacrifice hits pretty hard. for the for being a I was gonna say a secondary character. He's the main character for once he's introduced properly.
I didn't feel much with his death other than like, ah, darn, he was pretty cool. Yeah, I expected it because he was too cool. Like, okay, he's gonna die in a heroic way, which he did. Um, the part that I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit of feelings is the name part.
Yeah.
Where he brings up the other kid.
Yeah. Uh, I the pregnant his pregnant wife being trapped between survivors and him holding a horde of zombies. I think that's where the feelings came in for me as well. Uh, and I do appreciate dad reacting to the fact that uh, he's has to leave him, which is again good character arc through just the actions of the character in the sense of like he went from locking him behind, closing a door on him to this, which was holding the door open at the train station for him and to
Close the
uh
door on him again.
to close the door on him again, but not wanting to. There's a
Yeah.
uh, so it's good character stuff. I appreciated the arc they're putting on for Dad, uh, and Chad being the cool one is yeah, I think they did a good job with the screen time that he had. I think every moment was used effectively. My favorite comedic moment is still the when they were all in the restroom after reaching uh his wife and Suwon.
I was a little like, all right, guys, hurry up. You only have so much time here. But nice moment though.
Yeah. Uh, Sprinks.
At the 58-minute mark, I'm going with it's an actual hit versus movement. But when they're in car 11 fighting the other high schoolers, there's a part where the main focused one um, kind of spins one in a chair from the aisle, and his body hits the camera.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't, but I'm sure it's
Well,
there.
it seemed
It's
like an
very subtle.
intentional impact thing.
Yeah,
I, yeah,
but it's just like the shot, like the train is such a tight quarters to film in that to get the movement in the angle, the body just hit the camera, which is just like played off. It's like oops, and probably cutting room floor. They're like, oh no, I like that. As Crimson just said, it gives the impact.
Yeah. I think they did pretty decent with choreography wise being filmed in a train, like trapped in a train for quote unquote fighting sequences. Uh did pretty decent job with having like people crawl over the chairs to kind of just try to tackle people. There's only one instance where I feel like it was either an extra like room space where I think a couple chairs were pulled out for a stunt.
get some added room.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think otherwise, they did a good job for the tight quarters filming and the fight scene. I think the camera work might add some plot armor onto our characters, but it's not egregious.
I see what you mean. Yes, their actions have to be within frame, and it's very tight quarters, so it can build to that. Kind of like one
Yeah,
zombie at a time when we've seen them actually like trample over each other.
yeah,
Because the
and
fighting on the
they're
train is very aisle shot, not a lot of them like jumping over the chairs on the sides.
yeah. Um, it's like I said, it'd be hard to film when people. I mean, some of the stunt actors are crawling over the chairs quite literally and stuff like that, but
Well, it would have been cool
it's
if these trains they could have removed the roof from and had like a bird's eye view shot, like following down the cabin while fighting. Then they could have used the full interior.
Yeah, I think there's I know there was a shot that they had like a camera in like where The closest we get to that is a camera in where like the luggage goes above the people on the in the seats. There was a camera. There's a couple camera angles from that height.
Yeah, a tacky cop out they could have done, which I'm kind of glad they didn't. For to just like go through one whole car, could have been like in the bus scene in Deadpool and Wolverine,
Oh, just like
just from
like a
exterior
single
shot
shot.
through the windows.
Yeah. I yeah, I'm happy they didn't do it either because that comes across as a little too like a little too heroic and tropey because they're just supposed to be normal people almost.
Yeah,
It would have been cool though. I would have loved to see Chad just working his way through a crowd like that. Um,
yeah, but they had
I
some
do.
good shots and reminded me of like the camera work in Bullet Train. You like those tight shots?
Yeah, and I think one of the benefits of keeping like the camera in the aisle, it makes it feel more claustrophobic.
Yeah.
The fighting, because I feel like if they had taken out the roof, that might have just given a little too much space. If that makes sense.
Well, it depends on how close they had the angle for the roof.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. Um, what else do I have? Yeah. So I already kind of talked about. I think there's only one instance where I think like a seat was removed specifically for a stunt, but otherwise I do think they did a good job. Um, Crimson.
Okay, I guess on the topic of the high schoolers, it's a nitpick, but it's something that kind of got me a little bit. Was why was it just the high schoolers in that car? There was no other zombies. It was just the team, and we saw that there was other zombies in there to turn them, but for some reason, the team was split up from every other zombie in the train.
Yeah, I the only thing I can think of in defense of that is when the zombies broke out on the train, the zombies went in two different directions, pushing most of the passengers, like with Chad and Dad, into like one direction, while cheerleader and the other surviving high schoolers went the other to kind of close the door down.
But there would still be normal zombies in there with the high
Yeah,
schoolers. It wouldn't just be the high schoolers.
yeah. I said
Yeah, I'm
it's
with you, Crimson.
convenient. Yeah, it's convenient that only the high schoolers are left. I'm fine with them having split up a bit, but I agree. There would have been a normal zombie or two in there. The moment is nice with the high schooler hesitating because those are his friends or were his friends, but I agree there would have been other zombies in there.
Yeah, they would have all been as
A movie
mindless.
moment. I guess
Uh,
another thing I could bring up is something I don't know if I'm reading into it. I don't think I am. I think it was intentional. Is that the father knows this route because we have the first tunnel where they learn that they can't see in the dark, and then he does the phone idea, which implies he knows there's a tunnel coming up, which I think was kind of cool because it's not something that's something you could miss. That's not something to really think about, but I think that was their intention. He knows the route for his business trips, and then later he looks up the upcoming tunnels and how far away they will be because he knows there's other tunnels coming up.
uh, yes, and he's mentions taking the train to Busan with Suwon before, like to take her to see her mom. Uh, so he's definitely he's a regular on this route.
Yes.
Sprinks got a point.
Yes, again, it goes into the editing, the little nitpick I have on it of the CEO when he's yelling at the cheerleader, kind of not to be so naive that they could be lying that they're infected to be safe. And he throws her phone's on the ground and he looks down on it while the phone call's going on and he steps on it. The cut of him stepping on it is edited in between a long cut of him just looking down because his body does not shift.
Yeah, they did splice the shot in.
Yeah, they spliced the shot in. Oh, I agree with that. I do. Uh, what do we think of? Well, I'll jump to my favorite scene later. What do we think of the granny, uh, choosing to open the door?
That was going to be my next point. I hate these old ladies.
Oh,
They're my least favorite part of this movie. I I don't know why they're here other than to have the one open the door at the end of the movie. Or, well, I guess not at the end. Whatever, you know what I'm saying. The
Near the end of Act 3, yeah.
the other lady that was with our survivors, she didn't have any character moments with the group. She's kind of just there, and then she stands there to die for the other one to be like, you know what, screw life. She was a nice person. These people threw her to the curb. I'll take them all. It's just, it felt so weak. They didn't build up anything about these characters. They just wanted a dissenter to throw everything off. And I don't think they did a good job building up the dissenter.
I will say the dialogue really tries to help, but I agree they would have greatly benefited from more time with the two characters just to get a little bit more. We get that they're really close, or they're sisters, I think, and again, the dialogue tries to help, but I take a big issue with it because I think if just one of them, like if we saw the character with that was with Chad and pregnant woman and Suan, that group, if we saw the actions with her, that could inform what happens next as to why the other one chose to do what she did. Um, because we do see her distraught, like she's just sitting there distantly most of the shots that with the cheerleader and the businessman. So there is something there, but they really needed to build on it to sell the scene a little bit more.
And Sprinks, knowing you, you probably disagree with me.
yes, I do. Crimson, why do you think she opened the door?
Um, well, she kind of delivered a monologue about how the one that died is always there for people, and because these people didn't care about her, what's the point anymore? So she just let them out.
Okay, Ryder, why do you think she opened the door?
Um, I think she opened the door one to die and be with her. That's one factor. Factor number two is she's looking at the other people who are super paranoid of other survivors and locking them away. Still, like repeating the same problem. I think it's a bit of judgment on them towards them, and also just she wishes to that she was with her.
Okay. I'm in agreement that I think they definitely should have had more emotional beat screen time to add into their characters. They are very background and present, but I think it also aids to the dynamic of a zombie apocalypse, what it does to the elderly, and how that's visually represented. That's the word. Um,
Yeah.
and they're they're very background, but it is a split family. It is two sisters who are split from one another, kind of not the main focus, but to see where it's going and how they go. And upon seeing each other again and making eye contact, the choice for the one who was surviving to choose on her own in the moment, visually to her own sister, to not be rescued or not continue and to die, I think is a choice to play off of a sentiment onto her sister of, hey, we're not going to survive long being who we are, our age, the environment we're in. And that's what gives the other sister the grief of sitting down and puzzling over, like, why did you just stand there? Why did you just take it? Because when she does get bitten, she's smiling. She's not screaming, she doesn't turn around, she shows off her emotions of her choice to her sister.
She accepts it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what puzzles her in her seat, I think, to go over, like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you save yourself? To think all about it. And then the choice is, we won't live that long. No one's going to live that long. Um, why not just go out happy of your own choosing versus being taken out suddenly and fearing it? Accept the death that's coming and take it um, with your own choice to make. And I think that's what came onto the other sister to open the door of realizing that is the reason why her sister chose to do so. and that's why she opened the door to the crowd. I think it's all secondary of like, okay, to take out every other passenger in the room or to just be closer with her sister. I think it was the decision of what her sister made, she agreed upon, and that's what made her to open the door. But
What
again,
about
I
her
still
monologue?
think that's a like a I don't know 70% thing, and it definitely could have hit harder, like the baby name or something that happens in Act Four. Actually, a couple things that happen in Act Four, but something like that to give more of an emotional gut punch to be built more.
What about her monologue about her sister? You didn't mention that during your breakdown there.
No, I think that's her puzzling to go over the choice of what her sister made, of an idea to it, which is the aspect of her grief talking of the choice her sister made.
Well, we're definitely split on what it meant then, I guess.
Yeah. I don't see what you're saying, Springs, as an implausibility. I think I want to watch it again looking for that context, but I didn't get that this watch through.
Okay.
Um, I think I obviously we're all in agreement that some more screen time would have helped this scene for either her or her sister. Either of them would have been good enough for I think to show that off. Uh, on the other hand, righteous justice.
True, but it does play off into the how the heck did the CEO businessman save himself?
Yeah,
I know he
They do it off
I think
camera.
the
he was like in the
yeah,
front. He was closest to
yeah,
the door.
yeah. I think the businessman and the well, I mean, my best guess as to how the businessman survived is the pact that he uses all throughout Act Four, was just throwing somebody into the zombies to distract
Yeah,
them. That is the
that's true.
best I could guess
But we
from
see
this.
from the other angle that on the other side of the door, someone's being pressed up against to silhouette themselves on the door being attacked.
Yeah. There is also the benefit of the train going into a tunnel as soon as like the attack breaks out, and we have a panning shot of them in a tunnel. So it's not impossible. It's just very, very lucky.
Yeah, they just decided to do it
But,
off screen, which is
Yeah.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And the second I saw the tunnel thing, I'm like, oh shoot, he made it. I didn't know
Yeah.
the TikTok guy did, but I knew that it's exactly what happened. I'm like, ah, dang it, not dead.
Yeah. We're all rooting for his death at a certain point, I'm sure, because he's definitely the antagonist. He's definitely grows into the antagonist part of the role for this act.
Help me, get out of here.
Oh, yeah, my notes. I wrote down the sister opening the door is like the reverse of what happened in Frozen. Rather than love saves all, it kills all.
That's actually funny. I will remember that whenever I have to talk about that scene again. um, all right. Uh, I do. Uh, when Chad's I already. I mean, I'm just gonna talk more about it. I'll go to my favorite scene actually. Which is after they reach the rescuers and they're all in a bathroom across from where Suwon and Chad's wife are, and the homeless guy. They're all across. They're across the hall. I like the humor here, and I like the dialogue exchange. It's very human in the way that it's them just trying to rationalize the situation, and it's some good character building.
Yeah, I agree.
Close quarters bonding.
Yes, Sprinks, you go.
Oh, okay.
Because I guess the sisters was kind of
Sure,
more of a me and
overarching thing.
Crimson point at the start of it. Yeah,
The phone call with Kim in the bathroom, the mirror shot pan from left to right, I think is really cool.
I wrote, "This is a spring shot."
Yeah, that
I
was
wrote this
really
is a
darn
spring
cool.
shot. I also wrote this is a me shot. I really loved that kind of whole reflection because he's just trying really hard not to break down.
Yes, it does play off the question though. Why are there two mirrors in a bathroom when one's not facing the sink?
Yeah,
I think it's a shame.
it's a weird one for me because I see those all the time at or I used to see them all the time. I don't see them all the time anymore. But
True, but
uh,
we've seen other bathrooms people get locked into, and there aren't two mirrors in it.
yeah, it's maybe it's because it's a
More like
first
an
class.
expensive car. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're in the first class at that point, so maybe that's what it is.
Maybe. I don't know. The shot looks real cool, but I don't understand the functionality of the room.
Just a for me a nice visual cue of the businessman and the dad being on opposite sides, just looking at each other through the window of the door, uh, as they're trying to just get it open because they've Chad's just dying and buying them time.
Yeah, and the high schooler just has his arm getting like
Crushed.
rammed. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
surprised they
mean
didn't
that
like the business someone didn't like break his arm trying to get it out.
Or stab it with a pen or something.
Yeah, if they're trying to do
yeah,
for the greater good, kill these people to save us all, I'm why they didn't break his
Yeah.
arm.
uh, they might have tried to because he could have hooked his arm around it, so like he just had his arm flat against the other side of the pane, where so they couldn't easily break it. But I'm
He didn't do that.
No.
yeah,
They're
there's a
all just
level of
pushing the
panic.
door against an arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of what the dad does with Chad with the bat. He's just kind of like I don't know, scraping the bat against the door and the wall to get the hands of the zombies off, rather than actually pushing or breaking them.
Yes.
I understand it
Um,
was used for leverage to hold them back, but it's not actually pushing them back.
yeah. Um, I yeah, I'll turn this over to Crimson.
Something that annoyed me at the moment and it kind of had me figure out what was going to happen is when the ticketer is like, okay, you guys have to be separate from us, go to the whatever he called it, which is essentially the next room. And I was just like, oh my, if cheerleader's going with them, this car is about to die. That's exactly what ended up happening. I didn't get the logic of putting yourself between the zombies and the people you think might turn into zombies. Instead of putting the potential zombies next to the zombies, and you go closer to the front of the train.
I don't know if where they put them closer to the train had enough room for everyone in that cabin to be in.
Not
They're
comfortably, but there would have been
they're
room.
they're kind of they're kind of put in between cars is kind of where they ended up, I think. And that might have been the I'm definitely reading into that might have been the only space left.
That's what I'm thinking.
The last full car, yeah, yeah, I agree with that. But it's just interesting to put the people you want to live the least in the safer spot. Just, my mind immediately went to the what ended up happening because of that choice. It's like, oh well, have fun dying, y'all.
I do love that pregnant wife is holding Suwon's ears, like she's covering her ears from all the shouting. Nice detail. Really appreciated that.
Mhm.
Parent to be.
Yep.
There,
Okay.
there was a
Yeah,
scene
I'm
that
I'm looking ahead in the car that they were forced to go in. There's no there's no passenger car on the other side of where they're being forced to go in.
No, it's the conductor's cockpit.
Yeah.
Cockpit isn't the
like I
right
said,
word for a train. I don't know what it's called.
they, they'd be shoulder to shoulder in there, but they would be safer.
They would be, yeah.
I don't know
But
how control they be of the door though. Like, cause this
yeah,
time they're actually like leveraging it with like things to tie, like ties and jackets and everything to keep the door closed. Being in that space, I don't think they'd have room to do any of that.
because you're right, they would be
Yep.
shoulder to shoulder. It would be very
They'd be
tight fit
fighting
for
Yeah,
all of them.
and this
teammates.
is not a group to be drawing straws. They're, it's not going to happen.
Well,
Yeah,
they're
this is a
tying it
mob
to
group.
prevent humans from opening a door. They're not tying it to prevent zombies from getting to the door. because humans know how to open a door.
Yeah. How are we looking for Act 3, gentlemen?
I have one last point.
Crimson?
Go for Springs. I'll be reading.
Okay. Sprinks.
My last point
please.
is when the dad gets the phone call from Kim about asking, hey, it's not our fault because we were just working for the company that essentially made the zombie virus. It's interesting to put it out now. I get it's like a connection of like how the dad's connected to it and how that affects him going forward, which doesn't really do much. But I would have been very interested how this information would have been if it was put out beforehand. Like if the news said like this place is doing it and like Chad was like, what fund did you work for again? Or something like that. So it was more publicly known to be secret. Especially for the dad being more selfish to just protect him and his daughter early on. I think that would have been interesting to play with. I'm not saying it doesn't hit as much, but I don't think it does as much as it could have, being that after the phone call, nothing really happens with it.
Uh, yeah, maybe. It's an interesting one because it's more like it's just kind of in this moment where he has to wash the blood off his hands, quite literally. I think it adds more to just it adds more weight to the symbolism, I guess, in that, and also just the guilt he now feels that every death up to this point is now suddenly on him,
True, it's
or
very,
it partially on him.
it is very individual character situation in the scene, but it's not overarching plot usage.
Yeah, I I would be interested in seeing a version of the film where it has used an overarching plot, but I think I quite like that it's stuck with the character because Dad is our main character for this film, and uh, so I think it adds a lot more. It's not that it adds a lot more weight onto his shoulders. It adds a degree of how far is he going to go to make up for it?
Yes, it's it's
Because
it's less of a movie moment, but it's more information to the audience. I think for the point of the scene.
yeah, because I mean, with you do the plot overarching plot oriented thing, right? You might lose the individual impact of the character choice rather than it being just a private thing that he knows, and then that can also add into the informant of his actions rather than him being pressured more pressure onto him externally
Yeah.
of it being leaked information. So I would like to see a cut of the version. I would like to see a version of the film where that did happen because at this point there's a level of where I do trust the writers to kind of play with the characters well enough to have fun with that. But I do like it as it is. I think as well.
Or it'd been interesting if it was a flip of the script situation where no one knows the fund that the dad works at, which is connected to the outbreak, but they know the businessman's connection to it somehow. Even though he works for
Uh,
like Stallion Express, but
yeah. Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
because then it's like
Uh,
the dad knows who he works for because the businessman's so much higher up, but the businessman of course doesn't know who's below him, kind of thing.
mhm. uh, I uh, I do. I guess my last point is Suan and her dad having a moment in the car before he gets a phone call from Kim, and gives her the talk of owning up to being scared and stuff like that, and makes the promise that he's not going to he's going to get her to her mom, or he's going to get her to Busan or something to that effect. I think it was some good emotional character stuff.
And it also visually plays into a little setup of him putting his finger with her fingers
Uh huh.
for touch
Oh yeah,
contact,
that's true.
which does go into I think probably my favorite shot in the movie.
It is a good shot. Crimson, did you find anything?
Yeah, that was actually gonna be my point. I liked the bringing up the song again and adding more to it because the father's interpretation of it originally was just she doesn't know the song well or it's not done, but it was just her realizing her own father didn't show up and she just couldn't go through with it. And I thought that was a pretty strong scene to throw that in
I could only agree more, especially since that's just reinforcing how what's going to ultimately save Suwon's life at the end of the film. Uh, all right. If that is all we have for Act 3, we can move on to Act 4,
Sweet.
which is, yeah. We shall start with Sprinks.
Sweet. I've been hinting at it for a bit. My tied worst CGI, I think, is the fire train flipping over.
Yeah, it's very rough.
pretty good.
And that was
Oh, yeah,
also a very Resident Evil 6 thing, just like some random bullshit thrown in. Because we see a large aerial shot of the train station with why they have to get off the train because there's a blockage, but we don't see a fire train coming in the distance. So it is kind of just out of the blue.
Well, even the cheerleader was like, "What now?" or something along those lines of something else happening again. And yeah, it just felt like a shoehorned thing. Oh, there's a train on fire now. And when it brushed the side of the other train, I did get Bullet Train vibes because uh, in that one, there's also a train-on-train collision. I
Yes, I
think
do remember
it
that.
kind of looks similar, but yeah, I agree. It doesn't look great here.
No.
But I do
I
have
do.
the broken glass onto the train is worse.
Oh, the interior, where it's just an overlay of the glass flying from the left to the right, when actually it should be all over the place from the movements.
You're talking about this or Bullet Train?
I'm talking about this, when it shows the interior upon the hit and all the zombies are kind of jumbling around from the hit and the glass coming off the window breaking. It's from left to right, and it's just exactly left to right while the whole train's actually shaking in movement.
I suppose I didn't really look at it like that, but I guess yeah.
So,
I guess I
Uh,
could jump somewhere.
also the smoke is
The
fake.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
especially in the
Like
tunnel at the end.
every part of smoke from any fire around here is fake.
Yeah. The I talked about something in Act 4 in regards to the zombie rules, and this is it. We're in Act 4. I think this is the most egregious break. Uh, so we know that the zombies kind of turn docile when they don't see or hear anybody. They kind of just stand and meander. The train car falls over on the homeless guy and all the zombies that fell through that window. It collapses. And then our survivors are running kind of at the camera, that angle. And in the background, the zombies start hopping out and jumping off the train car in slow mo. And I'm like, okay, no, thank you. They're out of view. These zombies don't know object pertinence. We know this. That once something's covering their view of a person, they no longer know the person's there anymore. So
Yeah.
that was too much.
I think with they didn't need that shot. I mean, that shot's there just purely for the visual. I think the train crash would have attracted zombies to the train yard, but that's not what they show.
No, yeah, the zombies jump out of the train and chase after them, even though they have no line of sight and there's no
Yeah.
sound
Plays into
louder
like a
than the
hive mind
fire and
thing.
stuff.
Yeah, which is again, I understand why we as the audience don't know because our characters don't know, but even with that, with the rules that we've been given that aren't really enough to kind of coat this. Uh,
Yeah, this definitely leans on the too much angle.
I
Because
agree.
as I'm saying, if it's a hive mind situation, which goes into when one person's down and attacked, they all kind of rather than just one on being attacked to get more, they're all like five of the zombies swarm onto the one, kind of like with the conductor. If it's that instance, then it's like if one zombie senses one, is that a signal to all the other ones, which is like that 180 head turn thing in the train car, or
Yeah, I
but
think I
not
think
shown.
that could work. Like, so one zombie notices, and then the others follow suit. The problem is it happens like so instantaneously That's where I draw the issue. Because if it
Yeah.
was obvious, like one noticed and then the others noticed because the zombie made a sound that signaled that there was a human there.
Something the
that
filmmakers would have to relay visually, like the
yeah
other zombies acknowledging the one zombie seeing something.
yeah. Um,
But that has no bearing on this train part because no zombie could see them right there.
No.
I agree. I think if we saw zombies like running across from other tracks rather than the train where they fell over, I think I'd be okay with it. Just because, again, my point is that the crash at the rail yard would have been enough to draw all the attention to to the humans. But obviously, we don't get that. So
Is I couldn't quite get it, and it seemed a little dumb. The as I wrote, the horizontal World War Z wall dragging the train to kind of like slow it down from all the weight. The dad kicks off like one hand, and it tumbles and breaks the whole chain.
this is what we call plot armor. So okay, let me get the physics part of this out of the way because I thought about this. I think if the one person lets go, they wouldn't all immediately lose their grip. But the sudden weight of like a grip being lost would have dragged like it would have gone from right to left on the zombie horde that's holding on of them
Yeah,
letting go.
it would have been a chunk,
But
a domino effect, but how many
yeah,
hands were holding
the
onto the train?
yeah
There's
exactly
only
the
four.
plot armor issue is that kicking off two hands would not have been enough.
Well, we see that there's thousands of pounds worth of bodies getting dragged. So you have the weight and you have the force of drag.
Yeah,
Distributed it across it kind of looked like there was like 4 or 5 zombies actually holding the train. So
yeah,
what that's like 10 hands. Losing 10% of that could do a domino because like you said it would be a sweeping right to left thing, so losing the outward one would cause a drag momentum to the left, which would cause more force to weaken the next hand, then the next hand, and then it would all
yeah.
just come off. So I do think with some few gripping points just taking one out would be enough.
Okay, I guess that works in the realm of physics, and also with the zombies not being different from body types. And if one breaks,
Okay.
then they all break. So okay,
Okay. Yeah, I have less of an issue with it then. Kind of. I think. Uh,
it's
I
not
mean,
really
if they were,
conveyed that way though.
yeah, it's not conveyed that way. There will also be a lot more bloody drag marks for the zombies that end up at the bottom of the pile.
Oh, definitely.
Um,
Big blood smear.
yeah,
Normally.
it would be one of those things where like the zombies would have to keep replenishing themselves. Like the ones at the bottom now are the ones that are getting dragged, and then they're going to be dragged down to nothing,
Yeah.
to essentially. So there is, I guess that works somewhat. It's a little bit somewhat a fix. I think I have less issue than that with that he was able to clear the zombies away. I just wish they showed the sweeping motion rather than all just letting go.
The problem I was having with two problems. One, we see that the train's kind of having strain due to the weight behind it,
Which is
and
not what happened at all.
the- these carry tons of weight. There was
Yeah,
not enough for that,
yeah,
so that
they're
a bit much.
yeah. I couldn't tell if it was the train being dragged down or if it was just the conductor set it to go slow to give the survivors the best chance of escaping to get on the train with him.
Oh yeah, it was
Um,
really set to slow, but I mean, we see they do a shot of the wheels like struggling to pull the weight.
oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, that's a problem.
That's the part I'm like, eh.
That's a little too
But
much. Yeah.
the other thing is we see the zombies are faster than them. That the zombies were actually catching up to them. But right when they got on the train, then the zombies couldn't catch up to them anymore.
Yeah,
Good
there's a
point.
little bit of plot armor for them. I mean, he's running with a child in his arms and a pregnant woman is running beside him. They are
Yeah.
weighed down.
Yeah, and
It's
they've
not
caught
quite
it.
baby Leia with the bounty hunters level,
Oh,
but
why would you remind me of
No,
that?
it's
Fuck.
better than that.
but it's in the realm where yeah, you have a guy
This
carrying a
wasn't.
child and a
This was
pregnant
not filmed
woman.
on the volume.
Thank God for that. And thank God for Andor. Like almost none of that show is filmed in volume. I really love that show. Anyway, yes, I agree. They definitely have some plot armor while running away. Um, I'll
It's
jump.
you
Oh,
go.
no, host card. You go.
Oh, I got host carded. 1 hour 40 minutes 6 seconds. There is a secondary camera hit, but this one is edited
Walmart.
because
Yeah.
a body's rolling and hits like I don't know what to call it, but like a little train stopper or whatever in the ground. And upon hitting that, the body flies upward and hits the camera.
Mhm.
But
Oh, is
that's
it the
not a
zombie that
real,
makes it? Is it the zombie that makes a jump for dad?
maybe, but it's like the camera's following the train, but there's like a metal cylinder thing on the ground, like indicator for a train that the body hits, which launches it upward, and it hits the camera. But that's not a real thing that this is like filmed this way or CGI'd this way. Unlike the one in the train where it's actual like person movement. Unless it's actually a rigged person in a harness or whatever and got launched up and it hit the camera.
It's a digital camera
Yeah.
being used.
Uh, don't know, so I can't answer that. It would be cool though if it was an actual person in a harness. That'd be cool.
So this one is a simulated hit.
Yeah, I do. I hate the businessman, but I do like the him lying to the train worker, the ticketer.
Oh yeah, coast is clear.
Yeah, he just says he asks the coast clear. He just goes, yeah, but you can see in the look in his eyes, like he has to psych himself up for that, which is cool. I like that he's not cartoonishly evil. He's just you
He's pretty
know
cartoonishly evil. The ticketer is a bad judge of character. I knew exactly what was going to happen.
yeah
Especially
uh,
you go first.
Yeah, you go first. But
yeah.
you saw what's already out there. You should go first.
Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
The ticketer, I feel like he was manipulated for a lot of the film by businessmen. Like at least since their second part of train at the second train station or whatever. So
Well, it also makes sense from what I know of some Asian cultures that the higher up someone is, the more respect they should have.
yeah.
True.
So I don't have an issue with him ultimately listening to businessmen, but I feel like even the ticketer would question it because his
At this
survival
point.
is at risk.
Yeah.
I Sprinks, why don't you go?
Movie moment that it's a slow infection on the businessman. He looks fully
Yeah.
turned and he
So
goes,
egregious.
"What? I'm infected? Oh no."
Didn't even know.
The denial is
Yeah.
awesome,
The
but
the
I
crying
like
silence and then the full turn, that was cool, but it's a real just like dragging of this infection working on him.
yeah. I mean, just the idea that he worked so hard to try and not get infected, like he killed people for it, and he still got infected. It's a
I really
just
thought
desserts.
I thought he broke his ankle when he tripped.
Oh, it looked like he twisted it at least,
Yeah,
but he
it
ran
was the
away.
way
He went back.
that happened that I agree that they twisted it.
Uh, Now, keep in mind, he was on the train the whole time the zombies were getting dragged. He was infected that whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's egregious, from what we've
yeah.
been
That's
established.
longer than patient zero. Well, I was going to say longer than patient zero, but we don't know
Potentially,
when patient zero actually got bit. So,
Like I said,
at least
uh,
she tied her leg.
yeah.
We don't even know where he got wounded, but
I
that was
think he
a
got
long infection.
Yeah, I think he got wounded when just after he got tackled and the conductor tries to help him. I think
I
that's the
just
point
mean
where he got
where
infected.
on his body, like leg, back. Don't really
Yeah.
know where he got bit.
Um, but I I mean I love the symbolism of the boss fight, quote unquote.
yeah.
Symbols.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the businessman is very much the kind of person that the dad was turning into. So
Yeah.
I
Taking out his
that
corrupt self.
yeah,
It's like
that
Mega
that to me
Scott.
is the yeah, exactly. That's the symbolism I see on the surface for me because that that's where he was at the start of the film, but he's been on a character arc now, and obviously it's personified with the zombie infection and stuff like that. But that's who he was turning into ultimately at the start of the film. So I did not expect to have, I guess, a boss fight in this movie, but
Do
I
you
appreciated
believe
it.
do you believe the businessman's story that he has to get to Busan to see his mom?
I don't know why
I
he would make that up.
I don't see a reason why he would make it up. I He just wants them to help him because he knows he screwed them over at a couple points in the film, but he just wants them to help him. So I feel like that's their way of. Yeah, I have no reason to not believe him. Though I wouldn't buy it as a lie. I can see that too, but I think it's stronger if it's the truth. I think that makes the scene stronger.
Okay.
Is that
No,
didn't I went on
it
a bit of
makes
a ramble.
sense. No, it makes sense. I just don't know. I think I'm 50-50. It doesn't necessarily affect me too much whether it is true or false. It's him trying to save his own skin by being sympathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's the truth or a lie, it is the same thing he's trying to accomplish.
Yeah. There's
Regardless.
nothing built up prior that I know of him being that he wants to get to his mom. There's one thing where he
Yeah.
says like we need to go as fast as we can to the conductor, which made me question
Yeah.
like what does he know that he's not letting out about Busan? But
Yeah. For me, I guess I prefer to read, I guess, the more tragedy into it because obviously he's still supposed to be a tragic character, even though we hate his guts. Uh, so I guess I prefer to read that he was telling the truth than him it being a lie. Though the end result is still the same.
yeah.
Speaking about the businessman, uh, he's involved in a part that really bugged me, and I kind of hinted at it earlier, talking about people not closing doors. And this is cheerleader and high schooler
Oh,
Yeah,
going into the
he,
train,
he
not
just
closing the
runs.
door behind them
Yeah.
bugged me because they know there's zombies here. Well,
Yeah.
there's no reason to keep that open.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
airlock,
And the same.
save yourself.
Yeah, and the same thing is just why didn't the businessman close the door behind him instead of throwing the cheerleader?
Oh, he doesn't care.
Yeah,
I know he doesn't care, but he could have closed the door and killed one less person. I get that the point of him being is just he's the antagonist and evil now, but
they left the door open so the business guy could get in swiftly without them noticing, which is terrible. That's
yeah,
not what
it's
he's trying
Yes.
to do.
that's the plot killing the characters. I think
It.
right there.
Mm,
Yeah,
there's an instance of that too. That's real 50-50 for me because I don't like the reason for it, but it leads into my favorite shot in the movie, which is
go for it.
the dad helped the pregnant woman fighting the businessman by putting his hand over his mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
I
was
assume
so dumb.
I don't actually have that much of an issue with it because he's trying to prevent the pregnant woman from being bit. He's keeping his promise. That's kind of how I viewed that.
that's how I saw it as well.
Oh, I just yes, but it's like
It's
you
a self-sacrifice move.
could have
Right?
choke him around with your arm and
Yeah,
pull
but you
back
can't.
or on the shoulders, grab the
The problem is
hair.
the problem with the choking bit is they're undead, and Bisman doesn't have that much
Well,
hair.
no, not actually choke him, but like put your arm around and pull back with your elbow, kind of thing, like for
At
leverage. Is what I'm saying.
at this point, business zombie businessman is like a foot or two away from those two. At that
He
point,
is
he's just trying to get
very
rid of them.
close. Yeah, he's very close to biting a pregnant woman. So I don't have that much of an issue.
More
I
for the
get why
sacrifice
though.
play, not the
Sorry.
logical play, but the sacrifice play.
Eh, See, yeah, I see it because the bite leads to the shot of the hand on Suen taking her hand off his arm, which is my favorite shot in the movie. So you can see the bite mark on his hand versus the bite mark being anywhere else on him.
Yeah, and there was a couple moments during this businessman fight that kind of was like not well done. They should have reshot it.
Yeah.
where they're like fumbling on the floor, and there's several moments where businessman could have bit his arm, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
And
the
there's some
dad
cool use.
roll him over because the
Yeah.
gaps in between the metal beams on the railing is so wide.
Yeah. All you have to do is to fix at least him not being rolled off is the a lot of trains employ like chains now that kind of run through the railings or like little chain fences.
Oh, there was one of those.
So kind of, yeah. Well, but I would mean by that is not like
Like a mesh you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
more like a
No, I know what
mesh.
you mean. I'm just saying there is one for the use at
Yeah.
the end.
Um, so that would have I think the chain mesh would have prevented the easy of rolling them over. I do agree. I think for the quote unquote boss fight of this film, I do wish there was more choreography involved to just kind of get the stunt work right. Because there's so much relying on this being the emotional like height of the film, and a lot of it lands. So I kind of just want it to be better, you know?
Yes. The emotion hits, the structure doesn't.
Yeah.
I think the structure's fine, just the execution wasn't on par.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's the wording I was trying to go for, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you say.
Uh, but we kind of talked about it earlier, but just the breakdown that the businessman has before turning completely because he killed people to get to where he was and he's still dying from the infection. It's I think it works very well to uh again it makes him human despite all the atrocities he's committed thus far.
Yeah, but it's also goofy.
It
It's
was
silly.
goofy.
Yeah,
You kind of did
I won't
catch
deny there's a
on.
level of cheese, and I will say what I say all the time. You gotta earn your cheese in your films, and I think they did earn it.
Save me.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know
they
if they
did.
earned it.
It's
Yeah.
too
Uh,
abrupt.
oh, you two are on your own for that one. I'm firmly on the other side. They earned that one.
No, because this is supposed to be the height of the movie, the climax, and delivering him as I, I I'm fine with him being like emotional, or what's the word you just used?
Distraught,
Oh
despairing.
my
Uh,
gosh. Oh,
Empathetic, I guess. Huh?
I,
Yes.
I, you finish it just reminded me of something. You finish something that I want to add into comparison.
Um, I'm fine with that being an avenue to approach, but I think they um, weighed the scale too high towards it. I think, yeah, I think that's just where I lay. I think the scale was tipped too far in that direction.
It
uh,
reminds me of the bad guy from Big Trouble in Little China. How he's this big bad
uh,
guy and then he inflates, and it's really goofy. The whole movie's
Oh, him.
goofy though, and fits to that. But this is something where it's like you have the bad guy, and then this turn.
He was the
uh,
guy. Um, yeah, I mean the benefit of Big Trouble is it does have that goofy tone. This movie does not have a goofy tone.
uh, I think the only part of it where I thought they might have jumped the shark was the. I think, sorry, jump the shark. I like everything about the scene, and as far as the cheesy factor goes, I think the only thing I would want to edit it is have him instead of saying "please save me," just please help me," because I think he says it a few times. I'd probably cut out. I would just have him say it once. I think that would be the only change I would make to the scene, at least as far as the cheesy aspect of it.
Okay, you think it's too much
Uh,
pleading?
if he
Um,
was to balance the scale, as I was saying,
yeah, if I were to balance the scale for what Crimson was going for, I'm happy that he's pleading. It makes sense for him because he just wants to live, and now he's more or less outnumbered by these two or the three of them. Um, but uh, yeah, I think that'd be the one thing I'd want to change because I'm totally fine with that being a cheesy bit because the film earned it. I think at this point, and but that's what I think. So
I did like the subversion of him still being alive, even though it breaks the whole time of infection thing. But him opening the
again,
door, yes, him opening the door and then closing it, and then the businessman opening it, like, oh my gosh, he's like a special zombie. No, he's still alive. He just looks like a zombie,
Yeah, he's
and
not a
not realizing he
boomer
looks like
or a smoker or a jockey or
yeah, hunter,
a
yeah,
hunter or a
or
tank.
yeah. Mhm. Any other Left 4 Dead zombies?
Charger, spitter, uh,
Everything.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's the CEO zombie, so does he get shields? Maybe or
Ooh, shields, maybe.
um. I guess that was my point. So, Sprinks, do you have any, or do you want to jump in this act?
Oh boy, what a gut punch to show flashbacks of when he became a father.
Yeah, yeah, that one that got
Thank
me.
goodness. And of course, the music, great choice of the music, because the music I think hits the hardest, and you got to work with that to go with your emotional beats. And funny enough, I was just learning a little more about music theory the other day and the psychology of it, and the use of the minor keys to give the saddening bits versus major keys for the emotional pull is very well executed.
Waiting for
Yeah,
Crimson to comment on the ending, if you have
I
any.
mean, I thought it was okay. I've talked in other podcasts about like flashbacks during emotional scenes usually get me. This one didn't, and it's a little different because it's just one particular flashback. It's not a like life flashing before your eyes kind of flashback. So
He's just
I
seeing
didn't
his
really get
happiest
grabbed on it
moment.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
it
the
was
last
well
thought he chose to
executed.
think of.
Yeah, it was well executed. I didn't really get grabbed by the. I did like the shot of his shadow falling off the train. That was a nice choice to do that instead of showing him actually falling off, or like a frontward angle of him
Oh,
falling, leaning towards the camera.
writer,
I like the shot.
who's the oh, it's not Baratheon. Who's the Lannister kid who goes out the window?
Tommen.
Tom. Yeah, they didn't do that.
Yeah, because Tommen that was just goofy. That was someone that was meme to hell and back. Um, it wasn't the flashback that got me. It was the him running away while Suwan is screaming in the background, or he's hobbling away.
Yeah.
I think that's what got me more than the flashback itself. I do like the moment he like finally like realizes he's been bit. He just immediately goes into work mode and brings Suwan and pregnant woman into the front of the car. And just the way that pregnant woman is looking at him because she's a bit scared of him now, which makes
Oh,
sense.
oh, it's good for an affected to know they're on limited time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How nice.
Uh,
I guess he's a quick study because he figured out how the train works to tell her.
yeah. Um, I I mean, I don't really have much to say. It's easy to spot the break in a train. I think he's just reinforcing it for her because she's in shock right now.
Universal green means go.
Red means no. uh, and obviously the last moment with Suan, really liked it. Uh, he's trying to make sure she doesn't blame herself as much as possible as he can anyway in their final minutes.
Yeah. No, when he breaks down, and starts crying in front of her, like he's trying to hold it together and then can't. Oh, especially with what was brought up earlier about the emotions of just the culture.
Yeah. It's a very Asian culture is very very reserved. I Japanese more so than Korean, but that's still like they try to keep their emotions in check for a large majority of the time.
Yeah, but they're not Vulcan.
They are not Vulcan, no. Uh, so it's a effective emotional beat. Uh, I will just state the obvious: plot armor that they survived the train crash.
Yeah, yeah, they were mere feet away from getting crushed.
Oh, earlier. Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry. I thought you meant the train they were currently on. I'm like, it didn't crash.
No. When the flaming train came out of nowhere
Gotcha.
to introduce the mini boss, the quick time event, I guess. That's plot armor. They survived that.
Yes. But
Uh,
the conductor, I felt bad for. I got real Eddie vibes from Jurassic Park 2. The guy who helped with the Jeep on the cliffside with the RV. Got real vibes of him where he's just trying his best to be a good guy, but at the end it does not help for him.
yeah, I mean, I got that when he was like, where he's like, I'm going to, get a new train to be on the far left side track. Godspeed. He's gonna give them all a chance, and he's gonna do it himself. And I like that he spots one of the trains has been infected with another conductor, so he goes to try another one. So he goes on a bit of a journey to try and help them. But man, he does his best throughout the whole film.
It's a hero.
Oh, almost thought you were gonna say it.
Hero.
Yep, there we go.
I don't understand the reference,
Nope.
but okay.
Oh,
Don't
yes,
worry.
you do.
Don't worry, it's Bruce
You've
Campbell.
seen that. I know you've seen
Oh, okay. Then I
Sky High.
probably, yeah. Okay, got it.
Sidekick.
It's just
Hero.
over the course of the podcast, Crimson's done it. I'd say maybe pushing 10 times now.
It's so tempting just to
It's been
say it.
so hard. It's been so hard to. It's been so long since I've seen Sky High. I haven't seen it in probably over a decade now. So that you have to remind me that it's a quote directly from that movie.
It stars award-winning Tom Kenny
For like 30 seconds.
for like 30 seconds. Yep,
And Wonder Woman as principal powers.
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, speaking about this movie though,
I
the
Right.
soldier at the end who's like looking at the tunnel, that's not triggered discipline.
I mean, he was intending to kill, so it's not like
Yeah,
They were waiting for
it wasn't
orders.
triggerable. Yeah. We don't see the I don't think his hand was in the trigger until he was given the order.
Not, I don't think so. His finger wasn't
Uh,
touching the trigger, but his finger was in, like, I guess the hole. It wasn't on the side of the gun.
I thought it was on the side, but maybe that's just me. I admit I was far more focused on the emotional beat of the scene.
at what they're doing, I'm not really too concerned about it.
I suppose so. Like, you want to be prepped because you're
You want to
expecting
be ready for
90% of the
danger.
time it's going to be a zombie. So
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned on that one. I do like how they called it in. It wasn't a reactionary thing. Hey, we got two bogeys, take them out. They're like, we're not sure, take them out regardless.
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
the lighting. When is the lighting going to be good for you to actually identify? It's a
Yeah, that was
Well, I
my
pitch
mean,
black
only
tunnel.
it's the safety against the zombies
yeah.
because they don't work in the dark.
True, but shouldn't they have like, would night vision work? I know it's backlit, but will that work to see better? Because then wouldn't every instance being, hey, we don't have a clear eye on it?
They should have
Yeah.
seen them walk into the tunnel and not just while they're in the tunnel.
Yeah, I have another potential issue with that. They all when they're scoped in on Suwon and pregnant lady, we don't see the train car in the background, and I can't tell if they just walked to the next blockade in order to get there. So like there were several checkpoints,
Oh, I
but it's
see.
kind of implied that this was
I think the angle they're at, that the
That's
train would be out of sight.
that's the best I have, is an angle.
okay. Then yeah, if that's what you guys think, I don't have an issue with it. Then
Because when they get off the
I only
train,
remember the
yeah, when they get off the train and we see the tunnel ahead of them, we can't see the other end of it. So it's not a straight on shot.
okay. So maybe it is another. It might be another tunnel completely, for all I know. But
And
uh,
something on the visual side was when they look at the tunnel, it's like smoky. and black, but there is clearly smoke inside. But when the soldiers are looking through, there's no smoke inside the tunnel.
Oh, that could play into writers saying they've just walked through another tunnel now.
Yeah,
Well,
it
they
might
would have
be
got
another
forward
tunnel.
scouts then if there was a forward tunnel.
Well, I mean, my assumption was that it was successive lines of defense. So like they held up in one tunnel, the zombies got through, they set up in the second one.
That's a lot of assuming without seeing any of that.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm not going to push on it. That's just me.
Doing a little
Yeah,
galactic
that's just
assault
me.
there.
What?
Doing a little galactic assault. Pull back.
Yeah,
Defend here.
kinda. Yeah, it's just defend the checkpoints. Yeah, it's definitely that's me just applying military tactics to what I see. I don't have any evidence that it's a completely new tunnel. I know they're still setting up defenses because they're setting up shipping containers behind the soldiers still, you
Yeah.
know. So it's still clearly like they're still like setting up what's going to be a permanent checkpoint. I've been seeing all the bodies strung about across the river and stuff like that as the train comes to a stop. Pretty self-evident. I like that.
Something I wish they didn't do is when we get a shot of the guys looking in the tunnel, like the close up shot of them, and they're just kind of silhouetted in the tunnel. We see pregnant lady look down at the daughter in like a caring type of look. Obviously, it's still silhouetted, but that is not like a zombie motion. We see these zombies are very erratic and jittery, even when they're in their docile form. They're still jittery.
Yeah.
It could
So
be a
the
new
movement is
strand.
very. It could be
New strand.
I don't
something they
know.
would need to set up. Um,
Yeah.
so I wish they didn't show her turning her head looking at her because that was too human.
Yeah. The I mean, like, see, the only defense I have for that is this is still new to them too. It's only been 3-ish hours at the most.
Maybe the soldier blinked. So to him, it was actually really fast head movement.
That would be awful. But it's and then again, that's the only defense I could think of. Otherwise, I think I mostly agree with what you're saying, Crimson. I
Yeah,
think they could have not shown that, and it would have worked a little bit better.
I agree.
Um, how are we looking on for the final act, gentlemen?
One last
On
point,
notes.
I guess.
All right. You guess?
Well, unless
I'm
someone brings up something that I'm going to continue in. I have one last, but if I'm not the first to go, someone could take it from me. So
Fair enough. Crimson,
I have one.
how much you got left?
One.
All right. I'm. I'll do mine first. I'll talk on. Well, I got a couple actually. I'll do homeless man. Um,
Mine.
gave his life. After being a rat most of the film, just kind of tagging along with the survivors. Uh, again, it comes across as just a good person just making a sacrifice, not necessarily like not necessarily doing something super heroic. Just he made his choice, kind of in
That's
the way that a
pretty
normal
heroic.
person might. And I guess with that, Spriggs got a point. You want to go?
the one I have is that the ending emotional beat is that the daughter sings the song that she prepped for her dad. And that's what saves their
Yeah.
lives. But then again, hey, maybe it's another strand of the zombie thing, and these soldiers are just like, oh yeah, zombies don't sing, that's fine. But they do send like
Yeah.
a whole convoy of like 10 guys to go get them.
Yeah,
Well,
because I mean
they did
they're
say two
probably gonna,
survivors on the radio.
yeah, they're probably gonna get there, flash their lights on them, look for bites, and then pull them over.
Yeah.
So it is a 10-person job for 2 people. uh, but yes, I appreciate the song coming back. It was a nice bookend, in I guess how we call it now on the podcast, and I appreciated the emotional weight behind the song now because her dad is ultimately responsible for them getting there.
And if she wants to think about it that way, he is there listening.
That's
Yeah,
true. Could
she wants to.
Crimson.
My point was the homeless guy. So,
Oh,
uh,
I did steal
Oh,
somebody.
Steeler.
yeah, I guess to further extrapolate, I do think it was a heroic action more than just a citizen doing his due diligence. I think he was a hero. I do think he was built more than the grannies that we talked about.
I
They kind of
He had
felt
far more screen
underdeveloped.
time. Yeah.
He had far more screen time. I agree. So I did feel something for him because he's been like a permanent side character for them, and he is responsible for saving their lives earlier. Like he's the one that prevented a pregnant lady from calling Chad immediately on the when they got on the train and noticed that they're on a car full of zombies in Act Two.
He's also the one who saved the dad's life by putting his jacket over the zombie's head.
Yeah, he's been
True.
putting in work.
He also stepped on a can, threatening the
That was
dad's
funny.
Yeah, that's just that was
It was such a build up tense moment, and they added a little nugget of humor in it to cut it. That was the tone pace was great.
yeah
was a
they
good
did
build-up.
they've done a lot of good job of pacing and tone in the film. I said one of my favorite scenes is just them having a laugh together in the bathroom halfway to the survivor's car and having rescued or at least reached his wife and his daughter.
Yeah. I like it when he rescues the wife and the first thing she does is punch him in the chest.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a
And from
that's
how much Chad can take in a beating and everything, how he just goes, ow.
Ow.
you can there's like I said for me the biggest part of that is just there was no dialogue needed to write the story for the characters and their relationship. The acting conveyed it all, you know.
Yeah.
So that you can get why Chad is super buff. It's because his wife abuses him just a little bit. uh, but yeah, one of my favorite moments is definitely the her punching Chad in the chest a little bit. And I guess that's it. Uh,
Unless Crimson
if
had
you
anything
have any,
else.
yeah, last
Nope,
call, I guess.
that's it.
That's it for me.
All right. And with that, we shall move to summary and ratings. And today, I want to start with Crimson.
Hey, that's me.
It is
That's
you.
my line.
Uh, all right, I will start with my subjective. I went into this hearing it was a good film and knowing it was a zombie film. That was my expectations going in, and it was both those things. It was a zombie film and it was a good film. I liked it. Uh, if I felt tense, I talked about how I felt when the zombies actually were accumulating in the cars in the beginning and how tense I was, thinking, how are they going to stretch this out? And I think they did a good job stretching it out, stopping at another station and then having to fight their way through the train and then swapping the trains at the end. I think they did a good job stretching out a concept of zombies on a train. I think they did a good job with that, and it kept me um, invested. The businessman, he's supposed to be disliked, and they achieved that. It did cost some enjoyment levels, though, like him chucking the cheerleader because they left the door open kind of broke the immersion because the door was open in the first place. So that was kind of a little immersion breaking. And I do think they tipped the scales a bit much on his I want to go home to mommy, save me bit. Kind of was a little too much for me personally. But the connections with father and daughter were solid. I liked Chad's involvement with pretty much all the characters he interacted with pregnant lady, dad, uh, daughter, everyone. So very good. The zombies are cool. I liked them. The hearing aspect kind of sucked some enjoyment out because it kind of did break some moments for me. So subjectively, I'm at an 8. It did result in me having to check all my past podcast ratings to see if I rated this too high or not, but I do feel comfortable with an 8. Objectively, kind of touched on some of it with my subjective, but the hearing with the zombies is inconsistent in moments. The sight thing is mostly consistent, but I brought up the 180 bit exiting the second tunnel, and the most egregious form of it is when the train falls over on homeless guy and them jumping out and chasing them because they had no line of sight or audio to play off of. That was the most egregious for that. Uh, the story of this is pretty simple. It's just a survival story, and there's not much inconsistency with the plot because there's nothing to really be inconsistent about. It's mostly a character game at the end of the day, and in terms of the characters, they're all consistent. I think the high schooler loves his cheerleader girlfriend or friend. I don't know if they were official or not. I don't think they were, but I mean, he was willing to die because she died, and he seemed pretty consistent. He cared about his friends enough to where he almost caused them to die in the train car. Um, I think Chad and pregnant lady, great couple, and their dynamics with the daughters solid, and the growth between Chad and dad, and how it causes the dad's growth throughout the film is really well done. The CGI, for the most part, I think is solid. I would say it's actually good due to the budget, but there are some dips, as we mentioned throughout. Biggest to me being the broken glass and the zombies tumbling on the train. So yeah, I guess mostly my issues are just zombies and consistency with rules. Everything else kind of felt pretty solid. The grandmas do need more build up. I think they're the weakest part in terms of character. Um, Other than that, I think pretty solid. I have this at a 7.5, but I could be talked up to an 8. That's where I'm at.
Alrighty. I'll save myself for last. Sprinks.
Oh boy. Let's see. I'll start with my subjective. It's a zombie movie. It's a good zombie movie. I had fun with it. Wasn't boring at all. It was enticing and entertaining throughout. Um, there were emotional beats that did get to me, and I think on a rewatch it will be better because I know the story going forward, and I won't have to spend as much time reading, knowing what's going to occur, because it did take my focus kind of to the subtitles going on. Not that I miss details necessarily. It's just my brain focus was on that more so
It's hard
than
to do both.
taking it all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, emotionally wise. So I'm at a 7.5 currently, but I could definitely see this going as high as possibly like an 8.5, maybe. I don't know. It's a good zombie movie. Um, Objectively, let's see. I think the cinematography is very good. Where it's the use of a cinematographer. Well, what am I talking about? Cinematography is very good. Shots are lined up well. There's good shots. I don't think there's necessarily any bad shots to get into frame of things. Um, Acting overall really darn good. There are parts where I think the acting does lack a little, but then again, it could just be a cultural difference citing. The lighting's all good. Everyone's colored and framed. They use the lighting to their benefit for the zombie usage, and what to play off, when it needs to be bright, when it needs to be dark, when lighting needs to be played off, like the last phone call with Kim on the phone, and the bathroom's more of a green dull coloring, um, to kind of give a worried amount. It could be played off of like overarching greed of the business and what occurred. It could be selfishness of the green. It could be multiple things, but that bathroom is very green comparatively to the other bathrooms we've seen throughout the train car. Um, so I think lighting's very good. The writing I think is very good. Of the pace of the story to point to point to point flows very nicely. The tonage of when to have tense, when to have humor, when to have sadness, when to have anger, when to have confusion, I think all blends really well in the story they're going with. Um, The dialogue, I think, works for all the characters of how to interact, who's being a jerk, how to build off of that, and know that you need to rely on each other for survivability, how the daughter is to the father, how the father is to the daughter. Um, all that I think is really well. The whole yin yang thing of the father's full arc of change and seeing that with Chad and the businessman being where he wants to get, well, not exactly where he wants to get to, but where he eventually gets to and where he came from, kind of thing, I think was really good, um, mixed into the story. I think the hardest hit for me, other than the train never made it to Busan, boom, 3 points down. Um, Jokes. The biggest hit probably is the editing. There are bits where the editing wasn't as smooth as it could have been, I think, with the eye shot I pointed out, the stepping on the phone part of being spliced in, um, the choice of like when to show which character doing which action of a choreography scene versus a more wide shot of like there wasn't a lot of wide shots to show multiple situations of Chad and his wife or the dad and daughter or the businessman or like all these other characters, the homeless man, the old ladies, like any of that, like in a wider shot to show them all doing something at one time to kind of be like, wow, this is chaos, this is a mess in a zombie apocalypse. It's very focused individually to the characters, which isn't, I'm saying, a bad thing, but it does fall in the aspect of being a little bland, but I get the creative approach to it because it's a very character focused movie. But it does seem like all those big wide shots are location based when they come to a station or when it's over showing the city on fire kind of thing. So a lot more location based that way. CGI, it's 2016. The movie had like an $8 million budget. I think it could have been a little better, but the camera work they have to trick it into blending with the rendering we went over. This might be the most I've ever touched on a bunch of different things because I always say I forget something, and I do always forget something. Um, but I was dancing between two numbers, and I think I'm comfortable right now putting it at an 8,
What was the other number?
7.5.
Um, all right, that leaves me. I'll save my subjective for the end because I have a bit of a added note to it.
Oh, he hated it.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, I know, right? This turns out this is the worst thing ever. So objective. I'm not going to belabor the point and repeat everything that Crimson said about characters. What I will add is I do think that the character work is fantastic. For I think from beginning to end. I share the problem of the grannies needing to be just a little bit more to get. We need to get a little bit more in order for that moment to make a little more sense to hit harder. Because it's a lot. It's a pill. It's a hard pill to swallow that this person just dies to kill everybody on the train or almost everybody in that room. So they they do what they can with it in the short amount of time, but I think in order to hit that harder, they definitely need to add some more time, even if it's not with the character that makes the decision. Just knowing that just seeing the other character interact with the group, the other granny that was with Chad and Dad and Suan and homeless guy and pregnant girl. If we saw more interactions with her than with them, that would have been enough to get this reaction. I think that would have been the way to I think to best to do it. Um, I think there's the plot is very simple. I think there are some elements of plot armor involved a few times in the film that I need to be just mentioned. Zombies teleporting further away, not able to catch up to a guy holding a daughter, and the pregnant woman running further back of the train. It's just one such example. Them surviving the train crash is another. Them getting out of the train station they stop at, thinking it's a quarantine zone. There's definitely some plot armor involved in the film. They do a lot of good work to try and avoid it being so overt. Outside of I think Act Four, um, and they do a good job of keeping the simple premise of the story going forward, which is they're taking a train to Busan. It's suddenly the safest city in Korea, and they do a good job of keeping it going, as Crimson said. The world building, obviously, I think the biggest hit here is probably the world building around the zombies. Um, I think there's a time frame to work with if there was another movie and they elaborate on how the outbreak took place. I think that would answer some questions as to why it spread so quickly and how fast and why it spread so quickly. So, but as it stands, they're unanswered questions, and I think the film benefits by not trying to answer them. Uh, the closest we get is the news broadcast of the government lying, and they're deploying people to stop quote unquote rioters, which would have just spread the infection more. I think the movie objectively is quite good. I'm been bouncing between an 8.5 and an 8. I think a lot of the character stuff was fixed for me, strangely, over the course of our conversations. But I think there's some plot armor and some additional world building issues with the zombies that came up that I didn't notice. So I think it keeps me at an 8. Ultimately, I think all those balanced out because the one character issues that I had were very minor nicks, but I think they were smoothed over by me asking questions. So I'm at a solid 8 objectively. Subjectively, as a bit of a note, this was pitched to me by Biomon as after I finish it, this was going to be my favorite zombie movie. And the reason he did that and the reason he knew that is because I'm very, very character oriented as a person, and I am always an advocate for. I love my horror esque movies, but I love it when it's not all the characters are there for us to design to cheer for the gore fest. More or less, like in a lot of horror movies, the trope is that everybody is a bit like businessmen. They're designed for us to cheer for the death, and we're just supposed to kind of enjoy the gore fest, and that can be fun. But I'm not necessarily a fan of the horror genre for that reason. Um, and the characters are very, very strong. So I am gonna be happy to tell my friend I agree that I think this is my favorite zombie movie. It pretty much cleared I Am Legend and 28 Days Later. I think were my top two contenders for my favorite zombie movie, and I think this cleared them out. Um, I'm gonna say pretty handedly, but it wasn't a blowout. So I'm at a subjective 9. I really love this film. I'm absolutely going to watch it again, and I'm going to show it to everybody I know who likes horror and zombies. So,
Sounds like a win.
Not surprised at
yeah,
all.
yeah. It shouldn't be. I'm very on brand. Great character work, absolutely. I'm 100% down. In a horror movie, even better.
I'm curious, writer, would it have changed at all if it was a brother-sister situation or a mother and son versus a dad and daughter?
If the
Or
quality
even
of writing,
uncle, aunt, niece, nephew thing.
if the quality of writing remained the same, uh, I would say okay. Going on a case by case basis with that, mother son wouldn't have changed. Um, brother sister, if there's an age gap, probably wouldn't have changed. If they're like similar in age, maybe. Uh, uh, uncle aunt, maybe. I don't know. So it's more of a that's gonna be a case by case basis thing, I think, Springs. But
Okay.
if the quality of the writing is the same, I imagine it would still be in the realm of 9.
Okay, I was just curious if family dynamic father-daughter is the highest of them for you.
It does hit very hard because they, like I said, it's very hard for me. I didn't really talk about this for my objective, but it's really hard to write a child character that's emotionally cognizant but not overly so they come across as an adult. It's a very, very hard line to walk, and a lot of people struggle to write that. So I don't judge people who are, unless they're Ryan Johnson. I don't judge them for their inability to write something like that. Um, so I would like to think that uh the father daughter dynamic definitely helps this film, but I don't want to say that it's the only reason that this is as high as it is. I would, but I don't know. I'd have to see another version of the film, I guess.
Okay,
And unfortunately, we're going to get that because Hollywood is going to remake the movie.
I've heard about that.
That has been confirmed, and I cannot wait to possibly hate it. We'll see. I hope it's good. I
Americanized.
really do.
If it's
Yay.
Hollywood doing it,
Yeah. I hope it's good. I genuinely hope it's good. I would rather have a second good zombie movie to really get behind. Um, but yeah, if that is all, gentlemen, shall I read us out or anything else?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, thanks for choosing not a cartoon. Not that cartoons are bad, it just breaks a pattern.
I yeah, we've been doing a lot of cartoons.
We
this
had
season,
3
huh?
animated cartoons previous to this.
Yeah, I think that's why now that I think about it, that is one of the reasons I picked Train to Busan. I'm like, all right, we need some live action. Let's well, I'll pick this. All right. Thank you, audience, for listening. Whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Podcasts, and Samsung. And you have to be on our visual side of things, be it YouTube or Rumble. Thank you for watching and listening there. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. And as always, I've been a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks.
And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.